It's a cool evening in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium as the Jets and Patriots get set to square off. Well, New England's had a lot of injuries. For more on that, here's Adam Schefter.
Thanks, Bob. The Patriots never would draw attention to it, but we will. During the 2003 season, in which they won a Super Bowl, the Patriots set an unofficial record for number of potential games that starters missed due to injury. They broke that record the next year in 2004 and are on pace to do it again, once again this year. In the season opener, they lost their quarterback, Tom Brady, to a season-ending knee injury. Brady gone for the season. Later, the quarterback of their defense, Rodney Harrison, lost for the season with an injury. Lawrence Maroney, their leading rusher from last year, also down for the year. And Adelius Thomas, broken forearm, looks like he's going to be out for the year. Altogether, there are 10 Patriots now on the injured reserve list, over $20 million on IR, and that's not all the injuries just yet. The Patriots have one scratch tonight. Their starting left defensive end, Ty Warren, deactivated due to a groin injury.
Well, Adam, the Patriots and Bill Belichick, they just kind of keep moving forward, Chris. It's one guy down, next guy up. That's always been their philosophy.
He doesn't want to hear it. I mean, he really honestly doesn't, because they feel like that if they bring it up, then their players could possibly use it as an excuse, and they're just not going to do that.
Jets have won the toss. They'll receive Stephen Gostkowski to kick off for New England. As Leon Washington is back deep for the Jets, he averages 26.8 a return. Washington from his own 9 gets a crease. Washington knocked down at the 38. Gostkowski in on the tackle with Gary Guyton. As we take a look at the Jets starting offensive unit led by quarterback Brett Favre, making his NFL record 263rd start. Thomas Jones had 149 yards rushing last week against the Rams. Lavernius Coles, 5 touchdown catches this season. And on the offensive line, the big acquisition, Pro Bowler Alan Faneca, an unrestricted free agent from Pittsburgh, and right tackle Damian Woody. Ray Ventrone, the special teams ace, who during preseason was used as a wide receiver all of preseason, has been a DB and a special teams guy, shaken up on that kickoff.
I think shaken up is the
checking a truck
right
number.
word. Yeah. Oh my gosh, right in the chops there.
Yeah. James E. Hedebo was the one who got him. Number 44 for the Jets.
Well, you knew this was going to be a hard-hitting game from the very start, and that play certainly proved it. And now Brett Favre goes to work. This is why you bring Brett Favre to New York, to play for first place against the New England Patriots.
16 touchdown passes, 12 interceptions. Thomas Jones, the tailback. Jones, big crease up the middle across midfield, and Merriweather knocks him down at the New England 49, gain of 13.
Well, and that's exactly what the New York Jets have been doing lately, and that is running the football. That time Alan Faneca coming around on a little power play, and to see this big offensive line that has 4 #1 draft picks across the board now, and see the improvement that they've made since the last time these two teams met, is pretty remarkable. Thomas Jones now the leading rusher in the AFC.
Faneca, a 7-time Pro Bowler. Favre on a 1st and 10. Little slip screen to Cotchery, and the Patriots have it read perfectly. As we take a look at the New England defense in their 3-4 set, Mike Wright starts for Ty Warren. Vince Wilfork, the key man in the middle, along with Pro Bowler Richard Seymour. Pierre Wood starts for Adelius Thomas, and the impressive rookie Gerard Mayo at linebacker. The key in the secondary, Ellis Hobbs, the outstanding corner, and Brandon Merriweather in for the injured Rodney Harrison, who's lost for the year. 2nd and 11 for Favre and the Jets, opening possession of the ball game. They go empty set. Favre with time. Favre to the 45. And Mayo makes the tackle on Chris Baker. Chris, these two teams talk about they're very game plan oriented. What do you look for early on in an overview from these two teams from a matchup standpoint?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting for the New England Patriots tonight, because they're playing this game without Ty Warren, one of their big cornerstones on that defensive line. We saw the Jets come out and run the football so effectively on that first play and come back with some passes. I think right now they would rather see Brett Favre throwing the ball than these guys running it.
3rd and 6. Favre with some time. Favre to the sideline. Coles makes the catch, but they say he was out of bounds. He was juggling the football. Delta O'Neal on the coverage. Coles says, I had it, but the officials say you were bobbling it as you went out of bounds.
Well, it's been an interesting relationship this season between Lavernius Coles and Brett Favre throughout the course of the season. He just needs to do a little toe tap on the sideline. And if he bobbled it, I didn't see it.
And now Eric Mangini is going to ask Gene Steratore to come on over and check it out, because we're going to challenge this one as we take a look right here along the sideline. Was he bobbling the ball? Did he have his feet in? Remember, there's no force out rule anymore, but the Jets have elected to challenge. So right here in the first quarter, our first challenge. Did Coles get the first down? Will Mangini win the challenge? We'll find out. Back at Foxborough, the Jets asked for a challenge. Gene Steratore, our referee, has the ruling on a Lavernius Coles 3rd down catch that was ruled incomplete. Was there conclusive evidence to overturn it? He clearly wasn't bobbling the football.
I thought he had it.
Did he get his right foot in?
The receiver did maintain possession of the ball and have both feet down. It was a completed catch. The ball will be placed at the 37-yard line. First down, New York Jets. The New York Jets will not be charged with a timeout.
And that is truly significant because of the fact that you go from having your punter on the field to now having a first down. So this is already a pretty impressive start for the New York Jets, who certainly don't look like this game for first place is too big for them with Brett Favre and company out there on the field. They look pretty composed.
And you know, that play happened right in front of the Jets bench, so the coaches had a pretty good look at it. Jones, the tailback. His first run went for 13. This one goes for a couple as Mike Wright, the 4th-year pro out of Cincinnati, made the tackle along with Teddy Bruschi.
That's a really nice play on the outside by Mike Wright. We already talked about the fact that he's replacing Ty Warren, who is really one of the more underrated players in the league. But you talked to Bill Belichick, and he said, you know what, we're about 6 deep on this defensive line. I am not uncomfortable at all playing anybody with one of those end positions.
Coles and Cotchery to the top of your screen, split left. Jones can't find the outside, shut down by Mayo. The talented rookie out of Tennessee, the 10th overall pick, all SEC last year. And Chris, he has really fit in nicely with this veteran linebacking core.
There is no question that the New England Patriots just simply have not had anybody like Jared Mayo on the field in some time. He is a superior athlete that was about as fast as they've ever had. Watch him fill the hole here from the outside in. And that sort of athleticism has opened up not only against the run a lot of things, but also in pass coverage. We're seeing him doing a lot of different looks now.
Leon Washington in the ball game for the Jets on this 3rd and 8. He's to the right of Favre. Favre, quick release. He's got the rookie tight end, Dustin Keller. Keller inside the 20. He's got a first down and then stood up at the 15-yard line. But Dustin Keller makes his 20th catch of the season, and it's good for 20 yards.
Well, we've seen Dustin Keller already have a big impact on the season. Now a receiving tight end that Brett says he really didn't have in his late years with the Green Bay Packers. But now certainly to have a young man with this sort of receiving ability. He's not a great blocking tight end, not a big physical guy. But when you have the quick release of Brett Favre out there, him working the seams is something special.
On a first down, Jones rams into the line and picks up close to 5 as he gets inside the 10. Mike Wright on the tackle.
Well, certainly the key on the defensive side for the New England Patriots is and always will be Vince Wilfork. He's going up against Nick Mangold, who I think does about as good a job on Wilfork as anybody in football, because not only is he strong enough, but his feet, you can see how he'll take a side and draw Wilfork out of the play.
2nd and 4, Jones, no room to run, and he's going to get dragged down from behind by Richard Seymour, the 5-time Pro Bowler.
Well, as soon as you say that, then Vince Wilfork comes right back on the next play, and they can't get him out of there. They try and come down with a double team on Brandon Moore, but Moore is going to have to spend a little more time on Wilfork than that. You try to just give him one shot, and then go up on the linebacker, you're going to have a headache for your running back all day long.
And in the first meeting, Seymour had his way with DeBrickashaw Ferguson in week 2. 3rd and 2. Washington splits right. Leon Washington with the catch. Washington to the goal line and a touchdown, Jets. His second receiving touchdown of the season, and on the opening drive, the Jets strike first.
Well, and there is a Leon Washington package in the game. They simply feel like in New York that there is nobody on this Patriots team that can cover him. Bring the offensive lineman out to the outside. Damian Woody kick out on that block. And when you get Leon Washington in the open field, we've seen it all season long, it's over.
Shea Feely knocks through the extra point. Brett Favre throws his 17th touchdown pass of the season. The Jets strike first, up 7-0. Bill Belichick's Patriots scored on the opening drive of the ballgame as the Jets go 62 yards in 10 plays. Leon Washington with a 7-yard touchdown reception. Coach Belichick loves getting with that defense. Meanwhile, Eric Mangini and the Jets, Favre just operated that drive perfectly.
And you just have to wonder how many more hits this Patriots defense can take. Already Adalys Thomas out, Rodney Harrison out, Ty Warren out. I mean, those are 3 cornerstone players. You have a lot of young guys now being forced into the ball game. The Pierre Woods, the Brandon Merriweathers, Jared Mayo certainly has been playing all season long. Not a lot of experience over there, at least certainly not as much as they've had in the past.
And Woods kind of going over things on the sideline as he kind of got blocked out of the play on the Leon Washington catch and run for the touchdown. Jay Feely to kick off. And Ellis Hobbs from his own 5. Hobbs trying to get to the wide side and picks up a block. Hit from behind at the 31 and knocked down there. So Matt Castle waiting his turn with the Patriots down 7. Catch NFL Replay for re-airs of the weekend's 4 best games, enhanced with wired sound exclusive footage. NFL Replay Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 8 and 9:30, only on NFL Network. In fact, today in the hotel, I got a chance to rewatch the Pittsburgh-Indianapolis game.
I saw a little bit
week.
myself. Yeah, it's kind of fun. You get the game and the post-game press conference all sort of wrapped into one.
Interwoven,
right?
You know, after key plays, and you've got the great TV broadcast plus the NFL Films footage. 1st and 10 Patriots from their own 31. Then Jarvis Green Ellis, the tailback, the rookie, rambles across the 35 to the 37, picks up about 5. Matt Castle, 5 and 3 is starting quarterback. As we look at the Patriots starting offense, obviously Sammy Morris is active, did not start. Wide receivers Randy Moss, 43 catches, 4 touchdowns. Welker, 66 catches and a touchdown. Matt Light, Logan Mankins, and Dan Copeland, Pro Bowlers on the offensive line. Kevin Falk has come in the game for New England. Watson in motion on a 2nd down. Falk runs into a wall at the 40-yard line and thrown back. Eric Barton got the first hit.
Well, certainly on the outside, it's going to be an interesting night. 2 old war horses going at it. Ty Law just signed this week in the starting lineup, going out there against Randy Moss. And certainly Ty Law is not going to be able to run with Randy Moss, but he can get physical, he can get up in his face, and he's going to try and get a piece of him early.
Law spent 141 games in a New England uniform. 5-time Pro Bowler. Big 3rd and 1 here for the Patriots. And now New England will call a timeout.
First charge timeout.
With the play clock down to 3. 8:01 to go in the first. Jets with a 7-0 lead. Thursday Night Football on NFL Network. 46 degrees and cloudy here in Foxborough. Humidity at 91%. 60% chance of showers on Thursday Night Football. Chris Jenkins and the Jets face a 3rd and 1 defense.
3rd and 1 shotgun for Matt Castle.
Castle with some time. Castle over the middle, and what a catch by Watson. In traffic. There is a flag on the play. 12th catch of the year for Watson. Let's check the call by Gene Steratore. Belichick is saying, wave it off.
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. Penalty is declined. He's out of the play. First down.
Hank Poteet called for the penalty, obviously declined.
One of the issues that Matt Castle has had since he took over is the ability to stand in that pocket and make throws without looking down at the pass rush. That was done pretty darn well. He was under pressure, stood in there, and got the completion to Watson.
Little play fake on 1st and 10, looking for Randy Moss, and he sails it over his head with Rhodes and Lowry on the coverage.
Well, and this is what we have not seen this season out of the Patriots that we obviously saw a lot of a season ago. Tom Brady led the NFL with 31 pass completions of 30 yards or more a season ago. And so far this season, Matt Castle has only completed 3 passes over 30 yards. And certainly nobody's going to match what happened last year. It was historic in the NFL. But that big a contrast is pretty shocking.
The league average about 32% on pass plays of 20 or more yards. Just to give you a little frame of reference. Then Jarvis Green Ellis picks up a couple to the Jet 47-yard line, right into the teeth of the defense.
Well, we talked about it a little bit, but I don't think anybody in football throws the deep ball any better than Tom Brady. And of course, when you have a ready to throw the ball all the way over the top, we saw him in the Super Bowl throw one 70 yards right on the money. Pretty remarkable guy, and Castle doesn't really have those same skills.
Yeah, and after he had been hit 20 times. 3rd and 8 for Castle. Fastball completes it to Gaffney, knocked down at the 31-yard line by Lowry. It's a first down, New England. Gain of 16.
But what Matt Castle can do, and he's proved throughout the course of the season, is he can make this throw. That he can step back in there and work the ball over the middle. They say that his velocity on the underneath throws is every bit what Tom Brady's was. He just doesn't have that same sort of high arcing trajectory that Brady had on the deep ball. So as long as he stays in his comfort zone, Matt Castle's fine.
Big 3rd down conversion for Castle. Falk, the lone tailback, he'll take the handoff, finds a crease right, knocked down at about the 26-yard line. Eric Barton on the tackle as we take a look at the defense for the New York Jets, a defense that has 31 sacks on the season. Chris Jenkins has 2.5 of them in the middle. Calvin Pace, big offseason acquisition, 4 sacks on the season as they play a 3-4 alignment. Darrelle Revis, second-year man out of Pittsburgh, 4 interceptions, and Kerry Rhodes, the quarterback in the secondary, the outstanding safety. Sammy Morris, back from injury, picks up nothing on the play. So the Jets shut down Morris's first rushing attempt.
And there's really no question that the most significant improvement in my mind on the New York Jets football team has been stopping the run. You know, when you can stop the run, and Chris Jenkins certainly a big part of that, Calvin Pace, all those guys over there. But when you can stop the run with just 7, now you can protect your secondary. Now some of those young guys don't get exposed the way they did a season ago.
Jets are going to call a timeout as Welker went in motion.
Timeout. New York Jets.
Patriots facing a 3rd and 5, down 7.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by Sears. This holiday, don't just give a gift, grant a wish.
Some of the sights of Boston, the entrance to Fenway Park. We're in Foxborough where the Jets have a 7-0 lead. Wes Welker looking for his first catch of the night.
Hey, count.
And Chrissy's been a go-to guy for them.
No question about that. Kevin Falk also in this situation, another guy you look for.
They run it with Falk on a 3rd and 5. Nowhere to go as he gets wrapped up by Dwight Lowry, the rookie out of San Jose State.
You know, nobody runs the ball more out of shotgun than the New England Patriots. And I think the Jets right now are just sitting there a little bit and sort of saying, all right, Matt Castle, you want to sit in shotgun all day and throw the football, that's fine. But we're going to make sure that we take away Kevin Falk. We're going to take away the running game and make you beat us throwing the football.
Steven Gostkowski from 42. 21 of 23 on the season. Chris Hansen to hold. Snap is good. And Gostkowski knocks it through. So the Patriot drive stalls, and Matt Castle and the Patriots settle for 3 here in the first quarter of play. Dwight Lowry with the big stop on 3rd down. Jets with a 7-3 lead. Each team has scored on their opening offensive possession. The Jets a touchdown. New England has to settle for 3. A Gostkowski 42-yard field goal. Back at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Bob Papa along with Chris Collinsworth. No catches for Randy Moss yet. Stephen Gostkowski to kick off for New England. Leon Washington back deep for New York. Good kick by Gostkowski. Washington will run it out. Changes direction nicely to the 20. Leon Washington dragged down at the 36-yard line. Tackle made by Larry Izzo.
Well, you bring in Brett Favre. Why? To knock off the New England Patriots, and thus far it has been pretty darn good out there. Brett 5 for 5 to 5 different receivers on that opening drive, and defensively you could tell the Patriots were reeling a little bit, not quite sure what to do, and then you get the raw emotion of Brett Favre keeping this team fired up coming off the field. And a little tap on the butt there for Alan Faneca. Here we go, guys. 7 points already.
So he'll start from his own 36. And they go 5 wide. Favre over the middle, tipped away by Mayo, intended for Baker. Now, Chris, we were talking with Favre on the field before the game, and about the Jets and not being able to get over the Patriot mystique and knock off the champs. But as he said, there's a lot of new guys here.
A lot of new guys around here, and certainly guys that are difference makers. And I think as you look at this offensive line, they weren't that good early on, but they weren't good because they weren't talented. They weren't good because they didn't play together. And now as you watch them, boy, they're just in sync and making beautiful blocks, and came out and ran the ball effectively and really haven't come back to it very much.
They go to it right there with Thomas Jones. Skips through the hole and banged down at the 40-yard line by Vince Wilfork.
Well, some of the additions that we've talked about, and certainly Alan Faneca was one of the top offensive linemen on the market out there. Brett Favre, Chris Jenkins, we haven't even really talked about him that much, but here's a guy that came over from Carolina and has completely changed the face of this team defensively from the nose tackle position.
And Tony Richardson, a Pro Bowl blocking fullback. Third and 6. Play clock at 3. Favre over the middle. Keller's got it. First down, Jets. In New England territory at the 48-yard line. Gain of 12.
Well, it looks like right now Brett is dictating what's going on with his vision. He's steering people away from the receiver he wants. You see him pump fake to the right and then come back inside to Dustin Keller. Brett so far throwing the football has yet to look first to where he's throwing the ball. He's looking somewhere and coming back.
Cotchery in motion. Slip screen to Coles. Grabbed by Hobbs and then gets hammered along the sideline by the safety James Sanders. Well, and there's a flag on the play in the secondary. There's 2:46 to go in the first.
After the play, personal foul, defense number 58, late hit, 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run, first down.
That's Pierre Woods in for the injured Adalys Thomas.
And one of the things that we've seen from the Patriots this season is that they are the least penalized team in the National Football League. And it's one of the reasons they've been able to win with Matt Castle and a toned-down approach. But now you get guys in there that aren't necessarily the stars anymore. And a Pierre Woods making a mistake like that, we're seeing these cornerbacks play way off. And so Brett just raising up and making a quick throw.
It is amazing with all of the bodies that have gone in and out that they've been able to have a low penalty total, playing so many young guys. Jones into the teeth of the defense, and he picks up a couple inside the 25 to about the 22-yard line. Mike Wright made the initial hit with 2:08 to go here in the first. Brett Favre has a touchdown pass and a 7-3 lead for the Jets.
It's a good job that time by Nick Mangold inside on Vince Wilfork. typically Vince Wilfork can go from over the nose all the way out to the tackle position. And so if you can cut him off, you can really make a difference. And there goes Brett.
Brett split wide left, top of your screen. Brad Smith, who played quarterback at Missouri, in to run the offense. Smith out of a couple tackles. Smith down to the 5 before Mayo knocked him down there. He was down by contact at the 5. That's the 10th carry this year for Brad Smith, gain of 17.
Well, we're seeing more and more of this sort of wildcat theory of offense in football this year. And remember, we've talked about it a lot. You know, if you've got all your veteran players out there, Dallas Thomas and some of those guys, you say, okay, I remember when we did this back in week 2 or whatever the case may be. Get some of the younger guys out there, they start looking around going, what are we doing on this?
Dean Pease saw a lot of that from Miami earlier this year. First and goal, Jets. Jones hit by Merriweather and stopped after a half-yard pickup. Wilfork also got a hit on him in the teeth of the defense.
Well, now you've got a problem inside because Vince Wilfork on this one moved out over the guard, Brandon Moore, and is simply going to throw him out of the way as Merriweather comes around the outside. And remember back to the first game, the goal line stand in the second quarter that really turned things around for this Patriots defense. They went run, run, run in that situation. I'll bet you Brett gets a shot here.
He's got Washington to his right on a second and goal. Favre with plenty of time. Favre to the end zone, and it's dropped by Keller with 14 seconds to go in the first. One that Dustin Keller would like back.
Well, Brett had a chance to throw it out to a little bit wider, but this is a pretty easy catch for Dustin Keller, and one that Brett certainly would have expected. I think he was trying to not lead him in the coverage there, and let's put a little mark by that one and see if that drop comes back to haunt them here, because so far everything's been going right for the Jets.
Washington offset to the right. Third and goal. Favre, fastball, knocked away from Keller, incomplete. Woods might have got a hand on it. And New England holds with 10 seconds to go here in the first.
Well, Brett tried to go with the fastball on this one, but this is pretty well covered. Got Keller inside, but he had somebody inside and outside. But what we're seeing is they're dropping 8 into coverage now. So Brett has to be willing to stand there with the ball. He may be able to stand there for 6 or 7 seconds and let those guys work a little more open than what that was.
Jay Feely with a 22-yard field goal, and with 6 seconds to go here in the first, the Jets have scored on each of their first 2 possessions and have a 10-3 lead. I'll tell you though, Chris, you got to be impressed with the way the Jets have moved the ball down the field.
Now here's Dustin Keller down in the end zone, and he works away from Vrabel and has it. He even snuck a peek, and just you could see his eyes look up. He never ever looked that ball into his hands, and you've got a young player in a big football game, and that's certainly a blown opportunity. 14-3 playing against Matt Castle feels a whole lot different than 10-3 at this point.
Was he peeking for a safety or a linebacker that might be coming in to take a shot at him?
Usually on the goal line you're going to get whacked, and here's major news is Rod Mayo is making his way off the field.
So Mayo being taken to the Patriots locker room right behind the New England bench. Brett Favre has gotten off to a fast start, putting 10 on the board here in the first.
And we've seen the Patriots be able to stay in close games. You know, I mean, they've played a little bit more of a conservative approach on offense, but they've never really fallen behind big. Maybe San Diego was the one game they got behind big and were forced to come out of that. So if the Jets can stretch this a little bit, or if they had scored a touchdown there, they may have forced Bill Belichick to make some decisions about opening up his own offense and maybe things that he doesn't want to do.
Even in the San Diego game, the opening drive of the third quarter, they drove it downfield, and then Castle was intercepted. Hobbs from his own 5. The near sideline and up to about the 27-yard line, and that is the final play of quarter number 1. So Brett Favre and the Jets have put 10 on the board after one. New York Jets with a 10-3 lead over the Patriots.
Belichick. Mangini. The past is prologue.
How about Karabalis, the Academy Award winning performers, the performance troupe doing all those moves? Chris, when was the last time you could bend like that?
At birth.
As we start the second quarter, 1st and 10 for New England. There's Wes Welker with his first catch. Up to the 36-yard line for Welker, catch number 67 on the year. You know, last year he had 112 catches with Tom Brady. He's on pace to hit that mark again this year with Matt Castle.
Isn't it funny, though, when you start to get a little uncomfortable as a Patriots fan, what happens next? The ball goes to Wes Welker. You know, he seems to be the stabilizer. He seems to be the guy to say, okay, we get this part of our offense started, and then other things start to work.
Sammy Morris bull rushing his way for a first down. Eric Barton on the tackle. So the Patriots move the chains. You know, it's interesting visiting with Wes Welker yesterday. Now, last year it was so easy for the Patriots to move the ball and score. He said, you know, we've been able to manage the frustration. Just go play the next play and don't get too down about anything. Sort of their mindset with everything. Kevin Falk. Chris Jenkins got him by the ankles and limits it to a 1-yard pickup.
Well, Chris Jenkins, the nose tackle, is not only going to cover the two gaps on either side of him, but he's going to have the athleticism to get out in space and make that play. You talk to the coaches around here, and they're blown away. I mean, this was a 4-3 tackle who they didn't know what kind of a nose tackle he was, and Chris didn't know what kind of a nose tackle he was going to be. He said, I was a little nervous at first about coming in here and playing it. He said, I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. He's been playing great.
2nd and 8 for Castle. Under some pressure. He's got some room. Castle passes up on the slide and has a first down to the Jet 45-yard line. Gain of 12 for Castle and another New England first down.
Matt Castle stepped up just in time here as he hit his back foot. Watch the two outside pass rushers for the Jets coming around the corner, and they're going to smash right into each other. And the gap opened up. We saw Matt a week ago take off and score a touchdown on a similar play. If you want to play man coverage on these receivers, they're going to be running lanes.
And that was C.J. Mosley and Sean Ellis. Morris hit in the hole by Eric Barton after a couple. You know, normally they say meet at the quarterback. It's never meet at the other end.
Yeah, you never want to meet each other in the backfield there, but I tell you, getting Sammy Morris back from that knee injury is going to be a major asset for this Patriots offense. We've been seeing Benjarvis, Green, Ellis the last few weeks, and so now with Josh McDaniels, he certainly is going to have more options and more power options than what he's had.
He told me yesterday, he said, you know, looking at our running backs at the start of the season, as Morris takes the carry, squeezes through a hole, and is about a yard short of the first down. We looked at all the depth that we had at running back, and the next thing you know, they're all gone, and you know, now we're kind of getting them back, and you get excited when you have the meeting and you find out, hey, we got Sammy's available this week.
Yeah, and then you look over on the defensive side and you see all those guys that are missing. But I agree with you. And Ben Watson is back available, and he wasn't a part of that first game. And so now you've got a bigger blocker in there as well. So a couple of different ways to play some power football now.
On a 3rd and 1, Heath Evans has a first down. His 9th carry of the season, the 8th-year man out of Auburn. Picks up the first down for New England. This is a very nice drive the Patriots have going with good rhythm and tempo.
Well, it is. And you know Bill Belichick's not going to change his style. And I think that the pattern has been set now. You know, Belichick comes out every single week with a brand new game plan. You can't even recognize the team from the week before. And I think in this game, he's going to want to play a little more power football with Matt Castle in there.
Welker in motion. 8th play of the drive coming up on a 1st and 10. Kevin Falk runs out of a pace tackle, and Falk inside the 15 and plows his way down to the 14-yard line. Terry Rhodes finally shut him down. There's Mr. Everything for New England.
He sure is, but that was a fantastic throw that time by Matt Castle. When you hit him dead in stride like that and give a guy like Falk a chance to break that tackle, but he has certainly been doing that for a long, long time. Boy, it doesn't matter when it's the most difficult of circumstances. It seems like Kevin Falk has been the guy for years making plays.
Morris, nifty move to avoid a loss. Abram Elam got the first hit. We want to welcome those of you who are joining us on NFL.com. Welcome to NFL Network. Thursday Night Football. Remember, you can log on now to NFL.com/live for enhanced coverage of tonight's game.
And how good has Abram Elam been the last couple of weeks? You know, he had that interception for a touchdown. He had a sack fumble that led to a touchdown, and he's earned his way into the starting lineup now.
Matt Castle is lowest percentage in the NFL in red zone touchdown passes. Got an opportunity here.
Looks like straight man coverage out of the Jets here.
Castle for Randy Moss. A little too high. Castle wants a flag. Darrelle Revis on the coverage.
As soon as Randy Moss saw that coverage, he took about 2 steps off the line of scrimmage and stuck his hand in the air, and he said, I don't care what else you see. I have one-on-one coverage on the outside. But that time, Matt Castle, instead of looping it up to the taller Moss, threw sort of a line drive out there and out of the back of the end zone. It was really a poor throw by Castle that time.
Put up the big hook and said, I want the ball.
Come on.
So 3rd and 10. Welker in motion, top of your screen. Castle with time, can't hook up with Watson. So the Patriots will send out the field goal unit.
And I think Matt Castle may have been able to run this one in for a touchdown. Again, that man underneath, too deep coverage. Watch when Kevin Falk breaks out of there. You see it just sort of open up, because when you have that man under and they all go to the outside, there simply is nobody left on the football field to make a play on a running quarterback.
And he did that last week in the win against Buffalo for a touchdown. 31-yard attempt for Gostkowski. Snap is good and the operation is clean. So with 9:44 to go, the Patriots get another field goal. 10-6 Jets here in the second.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by the GMC Sierra, the official vehicle of the NFL.
Good look at Boston on this Thursday evening. Matt Castle and the Patriots settling again for a field goal. 10-6 Jets here in the second.
And I think that's really the key, and it's probably the most difficult part for a young quarterback are those last 20 yards. You know, in the NFL, it's relatively easy to move the ball between the 20s, and we've seen these offenses going up and down the field. This game may well come down to which quarterback can convert once they get in that red zone.
Gostkowski to Washington from his own 9. Always a threat is Leon Washington. Turns on Gostkowski. It's a foot race. Does Merriweather have an angle? Touchdown Jets. Leon Washington. 92 yards. His 4th kickoff return for a touchdown. He had 3 last year, and that's his first for a touchdown this year. And just like that, the Jets add to their lead.
He's remarkable, isn't he? I mean, this guy, when he gets in open space, there's the wedge that got him started. But now once he gets out in the open field, he's simply gone. And Brett Favre, when he talks about this guy, he says, you just get him the ball and kind of get out of his way, because he has a way of creating huge plays. And now for the New York Jets, my goodness, here's a team that is stunning everybody in New England right now.
Well, Brett Favre likes what he sees. Leon Washington for the touchdown. Kickoff every Sunday with NFL Game Day Morning, the first and best pregame show. All pros Warren Sapp and Marshall Falk are there. NFL Game Day Morning at 10 Eastern, only on NFL Network. Live reports from stadiums from all around the country. Best way to get set for the start of a busy weekend in the NFL. It's NFL Game Day Morning. Leon Washington, 92 yards kickoff return for a touchdown. He is a difference maker with 3 returns last year. Now he gets 1 for the Jets here tonight.
And that is the 5th return for the Jets on the season, and the first one the Patriots have allowed.
And he did it off a directional kickoff outside the numbers. Can Ellis Hobbs respond. He takes it across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. So Matt Castle try to jumpstart the offense here in the second.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by the Home Depot, official home improvement sponsor of the NFL. The Motorola Rocker E8, one touch from talk to music.
Back in New England, Bob Papa along with Chris Collinsworth. The Jets got a special teams touchdown, an offensive touchdown, and a field goal. Now what about Matt Castle? You brought up the question earlier, having to now come from behind. They've had to settle for a couple of threes. Does this change what they want to do offensively?
Not yet. It doesn't change anything yet, because you're talking about a team that's going to stay with their plan here. They're running the football effectively, and it's still awfully early in the game.
Flag on the play as Ben Jarvis Green Ellis takes the handoff and picks up a couple. And we'll check with referee Gene Steratore.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 83 is on the line of scrimmage covering the tight end. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
But for teams so lightly penalized, that's one you just don't want. Pre-snap fouls. You take a look at the AFC East standings. First place on the line. The Jets really need this win, Chris, because they already lost to New England back in week 2.
Right, and they would have to make up 2 games that they lost, because the Patriots would have those 2 wins, and that's the first tiebreaker.
First and 15. Welker wide open. Hit by Elam, but he's got a first down up to the 43-yard line. Second catch for Welker.
Yeah, back to the comfort zone once again, and I think they're doing something pretty smart here. They're trying to isolate number 50, Eric Barton, in space. He's the middle linebacker right in the middle of that zone, and there's really no way that Wes Welker is going to be able to play in space with him. So every time they get that kind of a look, it's just a zone defense, simple, get Welker the football and let him run after the catch, because nobody does it better than that.
Ty Law has checked in for the Jets on a first and 10. Again, Castle's pass intended for Gaffney, no flag. Lowry on the coverage. They got a hand in to knock it away.
Well, Ty Law working on Randy Moss on the outside, and again, he had single coverage. Early on, Randy Moss has been battling pretty well with Ty Law, and then of course he had the hook up there. He had to hook up down on the end zone. But I think that Matt Castle has to start to recognize this man coverage. He had a big opportunity on the corner route that time to Moss and didn't look that way.
Falk gets nothing. Sean Ellis drops him for a loss of a yard on the play.
And now you're starting to see a little bit of emotion. I mean, this game is going to be significantly different for the Patriots, because in their 11 of the last 12 meetings between these two teams, the Patriots have held the Jets to 17 points or fewer. So they may hold them to 17, but that fewer part is now out. This is going to be a little bit of an offensive shootout now, and 3rd and long brings up a lot of opportunities if the Jets want to bring some pressure here.
And that was Falk's first negative carry of the entire season. So 3rd and 11. Castle underneath, can't hook up with Watson again. Twice he's had him underneath, Chris.
He is, and you know what? I think he's had it put in his head so hard to be careful with the football that he's taking a few extra precautions. He's throwing it a little bit extra wide. That's at least the 3rd pass tonight where he's had somebody open. He's made a very conservative throw and simply missed. You're in a shootout game now. He has to change that mindset a little bit. He has to hit those plays.
And that's twice to Watson, one in the red zone. Hansen to punt. Good spiraling kick outside the numbers. Bounds at the 1. Batted down there. But it's a touchback. They ruled a touchback. Kelly Washington was not able to bat it back into the field of play.
Remember, it's just like a basketball out of bounds. You can jump if you don't hit the line and hit it. He clearly was on the line. Easy call for the officials. And the 70,000 other referees got that one wrong.
And now the officials are talking. Did the ball hit Washington when it first bounced?
Well, you see the one official with his hat off. That means somebody ran out of bounds and could have illegally touched the ball first.
Well, if it was Washington, he was the one that touched it. So was he out of bounds and then came back in and was the first player to touch it, which you cannot do.
If it had hit one of the Jet players first, then the worst you could do is the ball down right where it struck that player.
But as the ball bounded down, it bounced near Washington, and then he had his foot on the goal line, which made it an automatic touchback. That's the easy part of it. So let's see what Gene Steratore has to say. So offsetting penalties. With 7:30 to go in the second. We'll get the guilty parties in just a second. Eric Mangini wants an explanation. As the head linesman explains things. We're waiting for Gene to give us the official ruling on what was called on both teams as far as who the guilty parties were.
There are fouls by both teams on the play. During the kick, we have holding, number 31 of the kicking team. Also during the kick, we have illegal touching, number 15 of the receiving team. We will replay, fourth down.
So do the whole thing all over again. There's Mike Westhoff, one of the great special teams coaches in the league. Seeley on the other side. And for Mike Westhoff, I got a chance to talk to him on the field. There's a guy that was almost forced out of football by an injury himself. Went through cancer and had his femur replaced. And you see him with the cane. He says he feels better than he has felt forever. Absolutely is so excited to be back and coaching with the Jets. Missed so much, but he's feeling good about things now.
And always a strength on any team and any staff he's on, a special team. So Hansen will do it all over again. Washington for the fair catch, and that penalty works out in New England's favor because they picked up 8 yards in field position. And Brett Favre, rather than starting in his own 20, will start at the 13-yard line. Coming up next, it's a Sprint halftime show. We'll have first half highlights and a live interview with Chad Johnson. That should be fun.
It always is, and we get a chance to see Chad and company next week. Ryan Fitzpatrick playing better for the Bengals, going in and playing the Steelers.
Brett Favre off to a hot start, 7 of 10, 57 yards and a touchdown. Mayo is back in. We saw him go to the locker room earlier. He is back in for New England. Thomas Jones in a one-back set. Favre, nice play fake. He's got Cotry across the 30 for a first down. Sanders on the tackle. Gain of 18.
Boy, just a little old-fashioned play action up the middle, fake the dive, and as the linebackers react up, raise up and throw it to Jericho Cotry. And Jericho Cotry, who has dropped a few balls in his career, now has up to 43 this season without a drop. That is simply remarkable. Obviously best in the NFL.
On 1st and 10, Jones redirects himself and makes something out of nothing up to the 37-yard line. Merriweather and Bruschi on the tackle. But boy, you know, you just feel the feel coming off the field right now, Chris, is that the Jets are in total control. They are dictating the terms of this game.
Well, it feels weird, doesn't it? I mean, this is the New England Patriots, and they were tied for first, and they're playing in New England. So the natural assumption is the Patriots just do what they always do and sort of maul the Jets, and it's been going the other way so far.
All Jets so far, 2nd and 3. Favre with time. Favre for Cotry. And it's incomplete. And flag comes in on the play as Cotry made the grab. He got tied up with Hobbs. And they are ruling that a catch at the 16-yard line as Hobbs and Cotry were just grabbing each other.
Yeah, at the very worst now, you're going to get a pass interference call on Ellis Hobbs.
How about the catch by Cotry with one hand?
Remarkable, and the ball did not touch the ground sticking one hand out and just cradling it within his armpit there, and then lost it at the end. It's going to be a question whether Hobbs touched him on the way down.
On the field is a catch down by contact. We also have pass interference defense, number 27. Penalty is declined. Result of the play is a first down.
It's a 46-yard play to Cotchery on a spectacular one-handed catch. And, you know, it's tough. That's a tough call against Hobbs.
Well, Hobbs had his head turned initially, started to make some contact. The receiver, remember, always has the right to come back to the ball and go through the defensive back, and that's what was called.
So a 1st and 10 for the Jets at the 16. Jones, nowhere to run that time. Pierre Woods on the tackle. But, you know, we're seeing the Jets intermediate passing game, and they go up top, whereas Castle has not been able to find that mix of getting it up top to Randy Moss.
Well, and Brett will tell you that Jericho Cotchery reminds him of Greg Jennings with the Green Bay Packers. And that Lavernius Coles reminds him more of Donald Driver, a guy you want to get the ball to and let him miss a tackle and run in the open field with it.
Right now, the Jets are putting their stamp on this ball game. 2nd and 9. Favre, slant, Cotchery reaching for the goal line. Touchdown is the signal. Brett Favre throws his 2nd touchdown pass. Cotchery broke the plane 15 yards. Then the ball came out. There's a discussion, but it looked like he crossed the goal line, and then the ball came out. All you have to do is break the plane. Got hit by Delta O'Neal. Reaches out right there. That's a touchdown. That is a touchdown.
That is a touchdown.
Plain and simple.
And that is a brilliant play on the part of Brett Favre. He simply was patient enough, no question about it, complete control of the ball going over the goal line. He was patient enough to wait for Cotchery to get on the other side of safety James Sanders, and Sanders took one misstep and Brett drilled it in there. Brett Favre is playing a brilliant football game so far.
And so are the entire New York Jets as Jericho Cotchery gets his 4th touchdown catch of the season. First, he made a gorgeous one-handed 46-yard reception, and then reaching and breaking the plane for the touchdown. Jets taking off in New England. With 4:57 to go in the first half, Jets with a 24-6 lead over New England, dominating this game.
Yeah, this one's starting to feel like you ever go to the Kentucky Derby or something, and as soon as the race is over, you look back in the racing form and you go, oh, it's obvious. I know now why that horse won. Well, the Jets, top 5 rushing, top 5 stopping the run. Brett Favre at quarterback. It's a pretty good team.
Now they play keep away from Hobbs. It's a loose ball. Slater falls on it at the 15-yard line. We'll take a look at some of the snapshots here in the first half. How about Brett Favre? 10 of 13, 136 yards, and a couple of touchdowns.
And the only one they didn't convert was a drop touchdown pass in the end zone.
And Leon Washington created separation for the Jets with a 92-yard kickoff return. That made it 17-6. And the Patriots trying to figure out how to stop the Jets. Chris, could you say that this might be the most important offensive possession for New England in this game?
I don't think there's any question. Boy, 24-6 at halftime doesn't feel very good at all, but you can't turn it over and lose it right here either.
Watson has a first down to the 27. They were so worried about Randy Moss that Watson couldn't help but get open.
Yeah, and he's a major asset for Matt Castle that wasn't there in the first game between the two. But I just got finished watching the first game tape between these two teams, and it's just remarkable the difference. And I think the major difference that I'm seeing thus far has just been the dominance up front on both sides of the ball that you wouldn't expect against the Patriots.
With play fake to Falk. Sam Aiken. Sam Aiken gets a block. Aiken in Jet territory. And knocked down at the 30-yard line from behind. Logan Mankins got some block to spring Aiken. 43 yards.
Well, as we've seen all season long, the screen pass has been one of the staples, and Matt Light the left tackle is going to come out and get the kick-out block right there on Dwight Lowry, and that's what springs this thing. One of the things that Bill Belichick wants is not huge offensive linemen. He wants guys that can get out in space and make plays, and that's exactly what Matt Light did there.
And then Logan Mankin's got a decleater as well. Castle dropped by Aiken at the 25-yard line with 3:43 to go in the half.
Well, and now we have seen the New England Patriots change their approach. They've come out in more of a spread formation now, more receivers on the field, and they're going to try and create some space out there. Hopefully try and wear down this defensive line, because what you want to see is Chris Jenkins, the nose tackle, and some of these defensive linemen play a lot of snaps, play at a faster pace, and then maybe come back to the run game.
2nd and 10 for the Patriots. Castle with time. Castle is going to run it again. Castle knocked down near the 20-yard line. And it looks like Sean Ellis got shaken up on the tackle. A little slow to get up. The 9th-year pro out of Tennessee.
And one of the things we saw right away, and we just talked about it, Chris Jenkins looking a little tired. You know, when you make the big guy play and play several plays in a row, he's just not quite as athletic. Now you get the block with just one guy. You get your quarterback out running around in space. So I wouldn't even be surprised at some point in this game to see the New England Patriots maybe go to a bit of a hurry-up offense here to try and fatigue those guys up front even more.
Ellis shaken up. So Mike DeVito comes in to take his spot at the end position. Ben Jarvis Green, Ellis in on a 3rd and 1. Evans, the fullback. Evans is not getting anything. Chris Jenkins.
Oh.
They tried it the last time it worked. Jenkins said, not this time.
And I'm not sure what happened to Dan Copen on that play, but he came out of there and he's hurt, and Chris Jenkins just simply drove him straight back into the backfield, and I'm not so sure it didn't happen when Evans ran into him. So he had Jenkins pushing on the front and then Evans hitting him on the back. But the first matchup between these two, when they did not double team Chris Jenkins, that was the result. Dan Copen, no way, no how, can block him on a straight dive up the middle by himself. Ain't happening.
And Russ Hochstein working on his snaps. You know, it looked like Evans ran right into the left elbow of Copen as he was being stood up by Jenkins.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that they tried to go there without a double team block. They only needed 1 yard. So you double team down on Jenkins and just allow your fullback to go diving in there by design. They just had him singled up. Consequently, on the other side of that play with Stephen Neal and Nick Kazur, they were blowing guys off the ball, but the play went the other way.
So Hochstein's in at center. New England will go for it on 4th and 3, down 24-6. With 2:40 to go in the half. Welker in motion. Castle under pressure, sacked at the 30-yard line. C.J. Mosley. And the Patriots turn it over on downs.
And I think C.J. Mosley may be the most athletic of those defensive linemen up front. He's playing over Logan Mankins. Watch this move. That's a wide receiver kind of move. And Mankins barely got a hand on him and basically collapsed back. You have to flash back a little bit to the Giants Super Bowl. Remember when the Giants were able to isolate Justin Tuck and some of those quicker defensive end types inside on these guards? They simply wore them out, and the exact same thing happened there. Huge play in the game.
So a promising drive comes to an end for New England. Jets run it on 1st down. Nothing there for Thomas Jones. Brett Favre has thrown a pair of touchdown passes. Leon Washington, a kickoff return for a touchdown. 24-6 in favor of the Jets, and Favre will just let this drip down to the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, let's talk a little strategy here. You want to milk this clock the absolute best you can, but I guarantee you, Brett's still going to take a shot, getting down the field, getting more points on the board.
Dan Copen shaken up on that 3rd down play. He'll head to the locker room. 2 minutes to go in the half. All Favre and the Jets. Two minutes to go in the first half. Jets leading the Patriots 24-6. Patriot offensive line could not convert on a 3rd and 1 as Evans got bottled up, and then on the 4th down play, C.J. Mosley sacking Matt Castle.
They're overmatched right now. They really are. I mean, they are simply losing the battle on both sides of the ball. And I tell you who else is doing a better job. Over on the left side, DeBrickashaw Ferguson and Alan Faneca, I thought got beaten up pretty badly by Richard Seymour, who's had 4 sacks in the last 4 games. But Seymour, thus far, not much of a factor with that pass rush.
And you saw the 24 points, tied for the most allowed since Bill Belichick has been head coach at New England. First half isn't over. Favre just whips that one into the ground. He was under pressure by Gary Guyton. And, boy, the Patriot fans want intentional grounding.
And that's what it looked like to me, too. There was a receiver out there in that general area, but there's no question. Under pressure, in the pocket, Brett was simply trying to get this one thrown away.
Tipped. It's an incomplete pass. 3rd down.
Wow, they're saying the ball was tipped. That's why there's no grounding.
You know what? Sometimes when it starts going right, I didn't see it being tipped.
Are they saying that Gary Guyton tipped it?
I didn't see it, but I'll tell you though, we're seeing something different defensively now of the Patriots. They had been rushing 3 all night. That time they brought both inside linebackers. I think they've had enough of Brett Favre sitting back there comfortably.
Coming into the game, Favre had been sacked 16 times. Play clock down to 3. And they're not going to get it off. Delay a game on the Jets.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Well, just when the Jets and Brett had a chance to put a dagger in these guys, and if you pick up 1 first down, you're going in 24-6. Now you're backed up, and if you don't convert this first down, you're going to give Matt Castle and company another shot. And thus far for Matt Castle, it has been no problem between the 20s, but down in the red zone, it has not worked.
Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Third and 14. Jets will run it to use some clock. And New England will call a timeout as Leon Washington was tackled by Richard Seymour.
Well, I guess you call that conservative unless you have a 24-6 lead, and then you may call it prudent.
The Patriots will get the ball back late in the first half. Reggie Hodges in to punt for the first time tonight. Off the side of his foot, Falk bobbled it at the New England 33-yard line. So the Patriots have 1 timeout remaining, 1:44 to go in the half, down 24-6. And Chris, you know, they had a nice drive going, got stopped on the 3rd and 1, went for it on 4th down, were stopped again. They need a play to get the team into it and the crowd into it.
And Randy Moss into it. Right now, Ty Law is over there, and he's looking not just confident, but a little cocky, banging around. Yes, he has help deep, but he's banging Randy at the line of scrimmage.
Kerry Rhodes is cheating over. Castle, Gaffney, first down, gets out of bounds. Lowry knocked him out.
You know, one of the things that we used to see the Minnesota Vikings do, and I'm not sure exactly why the Patriots don't come back to it, is they would put Moss in motion and run a go route on the safety. Just take off straight up the field, because those guys are used to going right and left, but not having somebody right in their face, and just give Randy a chance to go up over the top and make a play.
Castle whips one to the sideline, and Gaffney again with the catch, picks up about 8.
Well, because they're working the double teams on the other side of the field, that means that Gaffney on this side, working against the rookie Lowry, is in single coverage, and so Castle has opted to go that way instead.
Patriots moving the ball, haven't had to use a timeout yet with 2 sideline passes. Castle with plenty of room. Castle slides at the 30. Another first down for New England, gain of 19.
Well, once again, we're seeing the exact same thing, that as soon as Kevin Falk breaks to the out and Eric Barton goes with him, there's nobody there. They have man coverage underneath with safety help, and Matt Castle's taking advantage.
Castle again, knocked away from Gaffney by Lowry. Castle trying to buy a couple calls, hasn't gotten any.
Yeah, Well, that wasn't a penalty, or didn't appear to be at the time. Just good solid coverage right there. Now if that left arm had grabbed the hip and pulled it around, it would have been, but that's just a terrific play. And Lowry said, how many times are you going to try and throw that? I'm not completely stupid.
Falk to the right of Castle as an extra protector. Has plenty of time. Has Watson to the 21-yard line. Clock continues to move. Patriots still have that one timeout remaining. 50 seconds to go here in the half.
And Kerry Rhodes playing safety and double coverage on Moss must be 30 yards deep. He's not now, but he has been when the ball was more in the middle of the field.
3rd and 1. Castle's pass deflected and incomplete. Ryan Thomas got a hand on it. And that'll set up 4th down for New England with 34 seconds to go in the half.
Well, here we go once again on one of these situations in the short yardage. And now this is almost a must-have if they're going to go for this here. 34 seconds, a pretty interesting decision. Are you still going to be able to score a touchdown here?
C.J. Mosley, the one that deflected it. Castle's going to keep it. Castle has the 1st down. And New England calls a timeout with 31 seconds to go in the half. So Josh McDaniels trying to get his team into the end zone. New England Patriots have used their final timeout. 31 seconds to go in the half. All Jets 24-6 as New England tries desperately to get a touchdown near the end of the half.
Well, thus far, Ty Law and Kerry Rhodes just playing a high-low out there on Randy Moss. And at some point, Moss is going to have to hit something hard inside, and Kerry Rhodes faking the blitz, going to drop back out of there now.
1st and 10 for New England. Castle, Watson knocked away. Hank Poteet on the coverage.
And Hank Poteet's come in here with the Jets, a veteran player, has bounced around, has been cut a few times, all those kinds of things. But he has been a real difference maker. He's not incredibly gifted athletically anymore, but he's a wise old man out there, and he has been making plays for this Jets defense.
Kerry Rhodes said he's dependable. He could play safety, corner, nickel, and we know we can count on him.
Where's Wes Welker?
In the slot, right, bottom of your screen. Castle on a 2nd and 10. Got a back shoulder throw, and that's incomplete, intended for Falk. Jets had that read perfectly.
Yeah, one of the issues that Wes Welker has is he has Darrelle Revis on him, and if there's a better corner in the game right now, it's a short list that includes Darrelle Revis. He typically gets the player who is the greatest threat one-on-one for the most part. So what the Jets are doing here now is they're playing Revis on Welker, and they're doubling on the other side with Ty Law and Kerry Rhodes, and that strategy has been pretty effective so far.
Ty Law matched up with Randy Moss on a 3rd and 10. Castle looks right. Gaffney's got it. Touchdown, New England. He beat Dwight Lowry. And boy, did they need that. With 15 seconds to go in the half, maybe a stabilizing touchdown for New England. And they get the ball to start the 3rd.
Best read so far by Matt Castle. Double coverage across the board, inside and out. The only guy with single coverage on the outside was Gaffney, and that combination, Gaffney working against Lowry, has been the best that the Patriots have to offer.
Gostkowski for the extra point. And with 15 seconds to go in the half, New England pulls to within 11 as Jabbar Gaffney grabs his 2nd touchdown catch of the season. Matt Castle's 8th touchdown throw this year.
Well, you're going to end up with double coverage right here in the middle of the field and double coverage out here on the outside, and the only single coverage is right there. Matt Castle sees it immediately and is going to take his shot over the top. Remember the poor throw that he made to Moss earlier. That one was executed perfectly.
And they worked on the rookie out of San Jose State, and Gaffney gets a much-needed touchdown for New England.
And for Gaffney, a little redemption from a couple of weeks ago in that game against the Colts, where he dropped one that really could have been the game winner in that one. Comes back here and makes a nice play.
Lowry's had his ups and downs. A talented kid, 4th-round pick out of San Jose State. Times has struggled like any rookie. So the Minutemen have something to celebrate, and the Patriots, remember, they get the ball to start the 3rd, and that really is a huge touchdown for them if they can put together a good drive to start the 3rd quarter.
And you just wonder if Castle continues to have success there. Could they possibly flip Ty Law over to the other side that covered Gaffney and then use Lowry in underneath coverage as a double team on Randy Moss? And let's see what Ty Law has. He's been sitting out a long time, but that's a wily old vet.
Kick squib taken by Brad Smith. Flag on the play as he's dragged down at the 36-yard line by Pierre Woods. We'll check on the flag. 9 seconds to go in the half.
Well, champions don't die easy, and there's a lot of Super Bowl rings.
Holding, number 57 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
A lot of Super Bowl rings around here, and you know that the Jets are going to get a good shot here in the 2nd half.
NFL Total Access takes you around the league for the latest news and info from all 32 teams. NFL Total Access Monday through Saturday only on NFL Network. Rich Eisen and our cast of champions bring you all the insight from the ongoings from around the National Football League. And Brett Favre and the Jets will just take a knee. And that's how the 1st half will come to an end. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots with 1st place on the line in the AFC East. The Jets head to the locker room with a 24-13 lead. Brett Favre's thrown a couple of touchdown passes, but right now the Jets in control. Jets up 24-13 at the half. Stay tuned for the Sprint halftime show after this break. First place at stake in the AFC East at the half. The Jets a 24-13 lead over the New England Patriots. Brett Favre 10 of 14, 136 yards and a couple of touchdowns. We welcome you back to Gillette Stadium. Bob Popple along with Chris Collinsworth. And, you know, Chris, you take a look at this 1st half. The Jets, total control. They scored offensively on each of their first 3 possessions. They get a special teams return. They're imposing their will on New England right now.
You know, they are, but that kick return changed everything. You take that out of the equation, and certainly you can't do that. But when you just match offense against offense and defense against defense, this is a much closer football game. So I think that Matt Castle now has an opportunity to prove a little something. I'm sure that they're going to give him an opportunity to throw the ball, open things up, and let's see if he can get it done.
Touchdown pass near the end of the half. Hobbs will run it out. He hesitated for a second, and he gets it out across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. Randy Moss, no catches in this football game, Chris.
Yeah, we were trying to calculate what just a couple of balls thrown to him in the 1st half, and let's give some credit to Ty Law. Of course, Randy's blocking on that play, but it has been a physical game. And I think one of the things that they're going to have to try and do with Randy Moss is get him some quick release, slant kind of balls, and just try to get him, maybe put him in motion, a little pick play to get Ty Law off him. Just get him the ball somehow, some way. Get him going in this game, because right now he's just sort of succumbing to the pressure that's being presented by Ty Law.
Dan Copeland back in at center on a 1st and 10. Castle, there's Randy Moss. And that one gains a grand total of 2. Calvin Pace on the tackle.
And I don't know if this one's going to be permanent or not, but we talked about it right before the end of the half. And Dwight Lowry is now over on Moss, and Ty Law is over on this side against Jabbar Gaffney. So they have made that move, and now Ty Law in just a couple of days practice is going to be put in the one-on-one spot.
Castle, Gaffney ran a little square out, and then Law runs him out of bounds at the 32. But, you know, that down and out was wide open from Jump Street.
Yeah, let's say this one may not work here, because Ty Law clearly a little uncomfortable in this one-on-one situation. It's a lot easier going out there against Randy Moss, knowing that you have help and Kerry Rhodes over the top. But in this one-on-one battle, boy, he dropped out of there about 15 yards.
So first down for New England. Castle with time, throws it, and he's got Welker for a first down. Rhodes on the tackle. Gain of about 13.
Well, Matt Castle is starting to come out in a little bit of the mode of Tom Brady here, and as good as Darrelle Revis is, Wes Welker's no slouch either. He gets one-on-one. Castle goes right to him.
Kevin Falk working on the safeties. Rhodes and Poteet tackle him at the 34-yard line. Gain of 20 for Falk.
Good job that time by Logan Mankins pulling across the formation. Little trap play on the end. And again, we're seeing this no huddle now. They're going to try and wear down this defense, and the big guys, Chris Jenkins in particular.
Castle under some pressure, and he just throws it away incomplete out of the tackle box. Chris Jenkins got pressure. You know, you look at things, Chris. Jets are dominating end of the first half. The delay of game put them in a third and unmanageable. They have to punt. New England drives it downfield, gets a touchdown, gets the ball to start the third. If they could score here, right back in the game.
And the Jets, you can't go conservative. You're playing the Patriots. You're playing a team that won 18 straight football games. I know they have injuries, but there are a lot of championship rings out there.
Castle works the middle. Watson fumbled the football, and the Jets have it. Kerry Rhodes able to pick it up. And New England turns it over. Watson had the catch and the first down and coughed it up.
Well, they found the matchup they liked against Eric Barton again. And Ben Watson just cannot hold on to it.
Lost it coming out, and Rhodes scooped it up.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. Frost Brewed Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, your beer is as cold as the Rockies.
Work our way back to Foxborough. Big turnover by Watson on the first down catch. Rhodes picks up the fumble. 1st and 10 Jets. Jones the tailback. Favre to throw. Sack. Vince Wilfork. First sack of the game of Favre. First time he's really felt pressure.
Yeah, and you've got Vince Wilfork inside, who's going to jump around Mangold, and Faneca just simply didn't get there. I don't know what Faneca was looking at. That was a slide protection, and he had to come down. That is clearly his man. Mangold going over to the next guy, and Wilfork just too quick, but the mistake that time by Faneca.
First sack allowed by the Jets in their last 2 games. 2nd and 19. Jones into Mayo. Turned back and stopped. Wilfork was also there. Chris, let's go back to the Ben Watson fumble, because there was no force on the fumble.
This is bizarre. I mean, he's trying to put the other hand on the ball, and the ball simply slid out the top. There was no punching the ball out. It just came out over the top of the elbow, and it was weird almost to see that kind of a play from a guy that big like Ben Watson.
He was Barton on the tackle, but he was trying to do the right thing and double protect it. So 3rd and 14 now for the Jets.
See if the Patriots come back with more pressure. Again, they're having success bringing guys up the middle. Nope, no blitz.
Only 4. Favre engulfed and sacked by Seymour. Back at the 20. 6th sack of the year for Seymour. And the Patriots needed that 3 and out.
Here's exactly what I talked about from the first game. Just simply a power move, a bull rush by Richard Seymour, and he's going to split DeBrickashaw, Ferguson, and Alan Faneca. They aren't strong enough to stop him. They just simply aren't. We saw it time and time again in the first one, and now they're fired up and they're playing out here. Let's see if the offense can get it going.
Welker on the return from the Hodges punt. No fair catch. And he gets tackled right in his tracks. So after the Patriot turnover, Randy Moss says, let's get it going offense. Jets by 11. Patriots owner Robert Kraft and team president Jonathan Kraft seated right next to him. What a wonderful job they've done here with the building of Patriot Place. I toured the Hall of Fame yesterday. It is one of the most spectacular, interactive places you could ever visit.
Yeah, nice tribute to Troy Brown at halftime. One of my favorite players of all time. Special teams, offense, defense, he did it all.
1st and 10 for New England. Castle wiggles out of some pressure, gets near the line of scrimmage and gets steamrolled back. David Bowen's got a hit on him.
Well, at some point in the game, Bob, I think that you have to, Randy Moss is running some deep routes down the field, but there are ways to get him open underneath, and he's working against Dwight Lowry, the rookie, in underneath coverage. So you have to be able to take advantage, put him in motion, pick somebody, rub off of somebody, but get him in space and let him beat Lowry. He can do it easily.
Right now he's out of the game. Sam Aiken in. Castle with time again to Watson. He's been open all day. Beat Pace downfield, and it's a 1st down to midfield.
Well, one of the problems when you want to try and double Welker, when you want to try and double Moss, somebody has to be single covered. And right now it's Ben Watson. Calvin Pace has been a nice addition, a good pass rusher, but no way is he going to be able to cover this tight end that runs a 4.5 40 in the open space, and Castle just keeps going to him.
5 catches, 55 yards. Castle is going to run it again, gets back to the line of scrimmage and picks up a yard run out by Barton. We want to welcome those joining us on NFL.com to NFL Network. Thursday Night Football. A reminder, you can log on to NFL.com/live. Enhanced coverage of tonight's game. Different angles, stats. Check it out on NFL.com.
Matt Castle, clearly the leading rusher thus far in the game, as this strategy has completely changed to this spread hurry-up offense.
Underneath, Falk. Playmaker. Flag comes in from the deep secondary. And the preliminary call is against the Jets.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact. Defense, number 28. Penalty is declined. 1st down. Correction, the number on the illegal contact is 22.
22, Ty Law called for the penalty. Of course, Curtis Martin for many years wore 28, the outstanding running back.
Well, Ty Law he doesn't care. He's going to get physical with it. You're going to call that, call it. He doesn't care. Oh, boy,
Snap goes past Castle.
Here we go again.
Ball is loose, and he falls on it back at the New England 38-yard line. Cody Spencer covered him up as Dan Copen and Castle were not on the same page.
Castle wasn't even looking. Castle was looking around and giving directions to somebody on the left-hand side. The ball was snapped and just simply shot right by him. He's out there pointing out coverage, and Copen snaps the football. And I mean, remember talking to Kerry Rhodes, and what did he say? He said, we always are in the game against these guys, but we ultimately always make more mistakes than they do. And tonight it has been just the opposite. It has been the New England Patriots with penalties and mistakes and turnovers that has been the difference.
Yeah, the Watson fumble, that play, that was a loss of 23. Jets are ready for the Kevin Falk screen. He gets it back into Jets territory. Lowry and Rhodes on the tackle, but it's still a long way to go for a 1st down.
Well, and the other thing that negative play obviously does is it takes the Jets out of what they've been doing in man coverage. Now they have 3 deep safeties down the field. They're playing a zone. Now it's going to be really difficult to try and pick this up.
Castle's pass deflected at the line of scrimmage, incomplete. So the Patriots on a 4th and 21 will send out the punting unit and Chris Hansen. So the opening drive of the 3rd, Watson fumbles deep in plus territory. Then the miscommunication on the snap, and the Patriots are squandering opportunities here.
Yeah, it's not like they're really being stopped. I mean, they've been very effective in this no huddle, but you can't make the kind of mistakes they're making and try and mount a comeback.
Hansen, a 10-year man, sends it to the far side. Washington, a fair catch at the Jets' 16-yard line. So here in the 3rd, Brett Favre and the Jets up by 11. Well, since 1970, starting quarterbacks older than their head coach. You see Brett Favre at 39, Eric Mangini at 37. You have the Dan Reeves, Craig Morton combination in Denver, and Wade Wilson and John Gruden, 1998 in Oakland with the Raiders.
And the only 39-year-old ever to win a playoff game is Phil Simms, and Brett would be a little older than he was should he make it into the playoffs this year.
Thomas Jones to the 21-yard line as he picks up about 5. Teddy Bruschi on the tackle. Jones 13 carries for 52 yards.
And I think what Brett and the Jets are trying to do now is avoid those pressure situations. If you end up in a 2nd and 10, a 3rd and 8, you're going to see the blitz coming from the Patriots. But by running on 1st down, now you're staying on schedule and keeping them out of those blitz packages.
Jones the tailback on a 2nd down. Favre, Baker barely grabbed it, and then Delta O'Neal ran him out of bounds.
It looked like Meadowlark Lemon there, going to curl one around his back, and I don't know what they put on the football out there tonight, but so far the tight ends are having a little trouble hanging on to those things. He's lucky he held on to that one.
13th catch of the year for Baker.
But now here comes in the dime package for the Patriots, and this is where they've been sending some pressure.
Between 2 and 7 yards, the Jets are 3 for 4 on their 3rd down conversions.
Seymour down inside on Faneca.
3rd and 4 was their motion on the right side of that line.
False start. Offense. Number 65. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Right guard Brandon Moore.
Well, that time Gary Guyton was coming, and the pressure that time didn't get to the quarterback, but it made Brandon Moore flinch. So just by the mere threat of pressure, it causes a 5-yard loss that time for the Jets. Now you're in that 3rd and 9 situation that Brett wanted to avoid.
Jets 1 for 3 on 3rd downs of 8 or more yards. This is a 3rd and 9. Washington in the game to the left of Favre. With time, Washington in space dives ahead, and he's got the 1st down. To the 27-yard line. Brandon Merriweather made the tackle.
Well, let's give some credit up front here. It was Alan Faneca. As Seymour dipped down inside, the slide protection went that way, maybe got away with a bit of a hold, but it gave Brett a nice little throwing lane. He stepped up in the gap, was able to find Leon Washington, and Leon Washington has simply been huge in this one.
Jones on the carry. Wilfork on the tackle at the 31-yard line. Pickup of a couple on the play.
You know, and for Eric Mangini, he knew what he wanted. You know, when they first got here with the Jets, their salary cap was an absolute mess, and they had to start carving out pieces and trying to create up other opportunities, but they got it cleaned up this season, and they made some great additions. Alan Faneca and Damian Woody, no question about it. Chris Jenkins, Calvin Pace, all guys major contributors.
2nd and 6, Lavernius Coles. Coles stood up by Hobbs and stopped 2 yards short of the 1st down. You know, Eric Mangini said, I want smart, tough, hardworking, selfless football players that love the game. And when talking with the free agents, he said, hey, we sit down and we have a little honest time.
Yeah.
It's like getting into a marriage, and we need to go to sleep at night making sure that we're on the same page.
And I think that was especially true in the case of Chris Jenkins. Had to make sure he really wanted to be here. There we go, a 3rd down and short, and Brett's going to the shotgun. Leon Washington back in the backfield.
Favre, Washington can't hook up. Little low. Guyton on the coverage, so the Jets will send out the punting unit.
Yeah, one of the things that we've seen from these young linebackers now from the Patriots, Gerard Mayo and Gary Guyton, is a willingness to play more man coverage with their linebackers. When they played the Indianapolis Colts a few weeks ago, they played almost all man underneath coverage with those 2 guys, and Teddy Bruschi really wasn't on the field that much. Hodges
with a good high punt. Welker, a fair catch. At the New England 22. Well, the Patriots have shot themselves in the foot here in the 3rd quarter. We'll try to put a scoring drive together after this.
Pandemonium here in Foxborough. The Jets came out to a chorus of boos. 9 seconds remaining. Under pressure, hit as he throws. It's Jets win it.
Week 10, 2006 in Foxborough. Eric Mangini gets his one and only win against the Patriots, 17-14. Jets would win 5 of 7, but lose to New England later that year in the postseason. Patriots with a 1st and 10. Pass behind Watson and incomplete.
You know, well, for Matt Castle tonight, everything underneath, and that's pretty typical for Matt Castle on the season. He is now 0 for his last 11 passes of 20 yards or more. By contrast, Tom Brady a season ago completed 41% of those passes, the league average at 30. So that clearly has been the weakness for Castle since he's taken over.
This year, the league average at 32. Gaffney short of the first down by a yard. Law on the coverage.
And since Ty Law has flipped over, it hasn't made any difference whatsoever. They just continue to work this side to Gaffney because that's the one-on-one option. And now Castle appeared to want to go underneath the center for a sneak. And as soon as he did that, the Jets all piled in there and he backed back out into the shotgun.
3rd and 1 for New England. Castle, Gaffney, first down, lost it, but it's ruled incomplete. Ty Law knocked it out of his hands. Gaffney had his hands on it. Probably should have held on to it, and another mistake by New England.
Yeah, and Gaffney, yet another big drop. We saw the one a couple of weeks ago, and you can see all the space that Ty Law is giving him. And, you know, certainly Gaffney should have had it, and they should have completed that ball. But does it surprise you at all that we keep seeing on 3rd and 1 or less? I mean, that was 3rd and a foot. They go shotgun and throw the ball. A little surprising.
Well, Chris Jenkins in the middle might deter them from running.
It's a foot. And they're punting.
So you look at this 3rd quarter, the fumble by Watson, the snap that went past Castle for a loss of 23. Now a Gaffney drop. Punt takes a favorable roll for New England, and they'll down it at the 22-yard line. Well, with 4:16 to go in the 3rd, Jets in control in New England.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by Viagra, Verizon Wireless,
Quincy Market, downtown Boston. Ty Law in his first game back with the Jets has done a fine job tonight. Jets in front 24-13. Bob Papa, Chris Collinsworth back in Foxborough. You know, Brett Favre in this football game has attempted 18 passes, Chris. None have been in harm's way.
And it's significant because that's his reputation, that eventually he'll give you an opportunity to take one. Hasn't yet.
He'll throw it here. Safe pass. Lavernius Coles. Delta O'Neal runs him out of bounds after a short gain.
Well, one of the things that Brett Favre brought to this offense that was different is the look pass. So in other words, if the corner, in that case it was Delta O'Neal, is playing off, I don't have to tell anybody else. I'm just going to raise out and throw it out there. And the other thing that he really lobbied for here was the empty backfield. They didn't do that much. They didn't like it in Green Bay at first, but were so successful with it, they adopted it, and the same things happen here with the Jets.
2nd and 6. Jones stood up by Bruschi and Mayo and driven back just short of the 30-yard line.
Well, coming into this game, this offense for the Jets have run 73 of their offensive plays from an empty backfield, and that is most in the NFL. And now on 3rd down and 3, I've got to think that Leon Washington is going to be called on again to try and defeat one of these linebackers in man coverage.
Packers last year had the most empty sets in all the NFL. Big 3rd down here. Can New England get off the field again? Washington to the right of Favre. Favre under some pressure. Favre hit at the 30 and dropped short. Mayo closed fast. So the Patriot defense does their job again, forcing the Jets to punt.
Boy, Gerard Mayo can fly, but Brett Favre had Leon Washington. He just did not see him. Washington's going to scoot to his right out of the backfield. Nobody's around. I have no idea why he didn't just dump him the football right there. Would have been a first down. Just a mental mistake that time by Brett.
Hodges sends Welker back to his own 19. Can't make the first man miss as Ahmad Carroll made the tackle. 50-yard punt, 3-yard return. Tonight's aerial coverage presented by Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry. Let's get a look at spectacular sights of Boston. Fenway Park lit up in downtown Boston. We're at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. You know, you look at this third quarter, Chris. You have the Watson fumble, the bad snap, loss of 23 to Castle, the Gaffney drop. The Patriots are their own worst enemy in trying to get this to a one-possession game.
Well, and if Watson doesn't make that fumble, they're probably at least going to get a field goal. And now it's a one-possession game. It's an 8-point game. So they just have to hold on here. You know, don't make the crazy mistakes.
Little slip screen to Welker. Welker passed Barton up to the 30 and dragged down from behind by Barton.
Here's a few of the mistakes that have been made thus far, and that one being the biggest one. And then, of course, come right back. You get another drive going, and Dan Copen's snap goes right by Matt Castle, and so if they could just keep it together, they can move the football.
Second and short. Castle under pressure has Welker. Makes Lowry miss. There goes Welker. Needs a block and gets tripped up. Barton might have got a hand on him. 29-yard pickup to Welker. First down New England.
And Matt Castle's mobility right now is beginning to make a difference. If Castle has one weakness, it's right what you see just there. That he tends, when his first or second look isn't there, he looks down at the pass rush. They've been working hard with him to keep his eyes up the field and be a little more patient. He still tends to do it sometimes.
First and 10. Castle to the middle. Randy Moss knocked away by Lowry. Good play by Lowry there. So Lowry got burned for the touchdown near the end of the first half, but nice play there.
And it's interesting, one of the concerns they had with Lowry was his inability in this man under coverage. But on that particular pattern, if Randy Moss curls that back in towards Matt Castle, the quarterback, a little bit more, he gets on the good side of Lowry and makes that completion. So far, this coverage is really frustrating Randy Moss.
Falk on a second and 10. Inside the 40 to the 37. Brian Thomas and Eric Barton on the tackle. Approaching 1 minute to go in the third.
You know, so much has been made with the relationship between Bill Belichick and Eric Mangini and all that goes into that. And Mangini simply said, hey, I'm from one big family here, a lot of coaches that I know, and some Thanksgivings a little tougher than others.
Well, Castle under pressure here. There's a flag in the secondary at the 25-yard line, and it's pass interference against the Jets. The preliminary call from the back judge is pass interference against the Jets. The back judge is Tony Steratore, the older brother of Gene, the
While
referee.
the quarterback was in the pocket, illegal contact. Defense, number 97. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Penalty on Calvin Pace of the Jets. Big play there.
Yeah, well, Calvin Pace has had his hands full tonight working against Ben Watson, who that time went right down the seam. And Pace was playing the middle linebacker position, and as he takes off, he gives him that bump. It was close to whether or not he was in the pocket, but I think that he was.
Quickly out to Gaffney, working on Revis. Gaffney inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. There's a flag on the play.
Boy, just a complete blown coverage that time by the Jets. Nobody out on Gaffney. Revis had to come from all the way across the field to try and get there, and Castle did a good job of seeing it.
There is no flag for defense 12 men. The result of the play is a first down.
A recount.
So no 12 men on the field.
There's Darrelle Revis, who was on the other side of the field, and nobody was on this side against Gaffney. I wonder if that little adjustment they made at halftime, somehow they got it screwed up there.
And despite all the miscues, with 27 seconds to go in the third, the Patriots in business. Randy Moss with his second catch of the ball game. He takes it to the 10. 2 yards short of a first down.
Well, I really think that's a good idea. As a receiver, sometimes you have to get your hands on the ball to feel like you're involved in the game. Let's see if we can wake Randy Moss up.
Second and short. Castle again. Has time. Castle to the end zone. Touchdown. Ben Watson, his first of the season. And on the final play of the third quarter, New England is right back in it.
And Calvin Pace's nightmare of trying to cover Ben Watson continues. He ran a corner route, circled back in, and just simply fell down. Calvin Pace fell down. Watson made the adjustment. Castle finally saw him for the touchdown.
Chris, they're going to go for 2 here as we get a look at the touchdown pass again. Castle had all day.
I thought Castle had him on the first look. He had that same man coverage he's been working against the whole game.
Do you like the 2 here? I like the 1 here myself. Take the 1, let the game continue to play out.
Well, I would say the only argument against it is you've been moving so easily down the field. They're going to try and cut it to 3, but it is a little early for this.
Castle works out of the gun.
See if they go quarterback draw.
Has time. Got it. Gaffney. New England's first 2-point conversion, and just like that, from 24-6, the Patriots are within 3. Matt Castle trying to pull off a Tom Brady comeback. After 3, game on.
Calvin Pace saying, Coach, it's pretty tough to cover that big Ben Watson on the outside. There it is right here, the matchup. Watson's going to run the corner route. Pace has him covered fairly decently initially, but then Watson's going to arrow back out of that, and Pace falls down, and it's an easy touchdown.
7 plays, 78 yards. And the Patriots right back in it. Leon Washington runs out of a tackle and nearly broke that one. Stood up at the 34-yard line. Matthew Slater on the tackle.
Well, if you want to be a championship football team, you have to be able to hold the kind of lead this team has right now. Brett Favre and this Jets offense has slumbered out of the locker room here in the second half, and it is time.
Third quarter yardage for the Jets as Hobbs was shaken up on the kick coverage. 20 yards of offense for the Jets in the third. They'll need some more as we embark upon the fourth.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability. The U.S. Army. There's strong and then there's Army strong. Find out more at GoArmy.com.
Paul Revere said the British are coming. He might be saying the Jets are coming into New England, and the Patriots are charging right back. Ellis Hobbs shaken up on that kickoff return.
And it looked like he ran into his own man there, James Sanders. But he got up afterwards and appears to be okay on the sideline. Will sit out this first play.
Saw rookie Jonathan Wilhite, 4th-round pick out of Auburn, in. Washington in a one-back set. Favre under pressure. He's going to get dropped at the 35-yard line. Pierre Woods got pressure. Hobbs comes back in.
Can't quite figure out why Brett pulled this thing down. It was off coverage. He had plenty of space on the outside. Jericho Cotry maybe didn't quite get the signal. I think he probably was supposed to just turn around on the line of scrimmage. He went a few yards down the field. Brett was uncomfortable and just pulled it back down.
First place at stake in the AFC East. Jets led 24-6 late in the first half. Favre, Keller stood up and stopped at the 20 by Gerard Mayo and James Sanders.
Well, Gerard Mayo is going to get a few votes and maybe mine for Defensive Rookie of the Year. This young man is an excellent blitzer, an excellent cover guy, and has proven that he can stuff the hole in this 34 defense. He is a real player.
Jets only have one first down here in the second half. Third down for Favre. Dumps it underneath. Got his man near the sticks. Keller. Remember, the line is unofficial. The yellow line is unofficial, and a measurement will be called for.
Well, Mayo that time just had a little too long to cover on Keller. He's right there. And Brett just made a brilliant throw to the outside. But that time, the Patriots, who've been having so much success bringing pressure, bring just 3. Brett realizes it, probably spent 5-6 seconds back there in the pocket and was able to get the completion and the first down.
Well, the football is about 11.5 inches long. He made it by 6 inches.
You know, I really think that maybe the Patriots don't even realize what they have with some of these defensive players. You know, the Gary Guytons and the Gerard Mayos, and they haven't been a big blitz team in the past. But when they've sent them so far in this game, the Jets have made mistakes on the offensive side, and the coverage has been holding up well enough.
Only the second first down in the second half for New York. They'll run it. Washington hammered by Mayo. He'll lose 1.5 yards.
Well, Gerard Mayo just saw that in the backfield and shot the gap right through here. No hesitation whatsoever as he sees the hole open up, and look at the acceleration coming through the hole to make that hit. We saw Damian Woody pull out in front of him. They tried to go with the little misdirection. And Mayo said,
Mayo with 10 tackles so far tonight. 2nd and 11. Favre underneath, got Cotchery, lost it, and the Patriots have it at the 40. Guyton on the recovery. First turnover of the ball game for the Jets with 12:33 to go. Cotchery had a first down, had it stripped by Webster, and Guyton pounces on it. Rookie Gerard Mayo, one of the reasons why the Jets have 38 yards of offense in the second half. 2 first downs to New England's 9 first downs. And the Patriots, off the turnover, have a 1st and 10 at their own 40. New England trailed 24-6 late in the second. Falk on a 1st and 10 run. Squeezes up to the 47-yard line. And Mosley on the tackle.
And what we've seen here in the second half with this change of strategy and going to the no-huddle offense, basically Chris Jenkins, the Jets' best defensive player, has been out of the game. So now they're sitting out in a dime defense, and Chris Jenkins is on the sideline.
2nd and 4. Castle has a running lane. He's got a first down and much more as he slides down at the Jet 38-yard line. Gain of 17 for Castle. He's got 61 yards rushing.
There's Chris Jenkins on the sideline. And watch this. When Kevin Falk comes out here and breaks out, look at the middle of the field. Everybody's in man coverage. And so there's simply nobody there. And Matt Castle has just done a great job on recognition with that all night.
Castle looking for Moss. He's wide open and he overthrows him. He had Ahmad Carroll beat.
Well, you don't want to rub it in and say it too often, but the deep ball has just not worked for Randy Moss and Matt Castle. And it was so dynamic a year ago, but Matt Castle throughout the course of this season has simply missed Moss way too often.
Falk underneath on the 2nd and 10. Gets 7. Elam and Barton on the tackle.
And one of the hard parts about that throw to Randy Moss is Moss was really trying to work it inside. You saw him get position and push off. But when you go from that position, you're not running the same speed, and that sort of timing mechanism was thrown off that time for Matt Castle.
3rd and 3. Castle will run it again, reaching, and he's short of the first down. Mosley and Ellis saved the first down. but they are in Gostkowski range. And Jenkins is going to come in, who has had some success blocking kicks. He gets such a surge in the middle.
Well, the Patriots have been going up and down the field, and now having to settle for a field goal here where they finally make the tackle on Castle.
47-yard attempt for Gostkowski. It's hit from 42 and 31. This to tie the game. And he's got it lined up and perfect. So New England has climbed back from a 24-6 deficit to tie it up at 24 with first place on the line in the live Thursday Night Football continues next week on NFL Network. NFC North matchup, Bengals and Steelers. Don't miss Thursday Night Football live next Thursday, 8 Eastern on NFL Network. We've seen some great play tonight from the rookie Gerard Mayo of the Patriots. You'll see some great linebackers next week with the Pittsburgh Steelers. With 20 seconds to go in the half, the first half, the Jets led 24-6. New England has come all the way back. Gostkowski trying to keep it away from Washington. Bobbled by one of the up men, Bowens, and he's able to take it out to the 32. So now Brett Favre and the Jets limited to 2 first downs in the entire second half. Will try to jumpstart this Jet offense that was just perfect in the first half.
Yeah, and you probably read or heard about the so-called summit meeting between Eric Mangini and Brett Favre, where Brett was getting a little out of control and was throwing interceptions for touchdowns. He's thrown 3 for touchdowns going the other way, and he wanted him to be a little more conservative, a little more protective of the ball. Well, now that goes out the window. Now it's time for Brett Favre to do what he was brought here to do, and that's win games like this.
Jones, the tailback, on a 1st and 10. Favre back, got hit as he throws, gets it off for Jones, who takes it up to the 40-yard line and picks up 7 on the play.
Did you see Brett kind of look back and see what the number of that truck was that just hit him from behind? As far as going to fake it here and just dump it off to Thomas Jones, but
Mike Vrabel
outside, Vrabel gave him a good shot. Turned around and said, "Oh, it's you again."
Jones on a 2nd down, has a 1st down into Patriot territory. Good block by Damian Woody to get Jones the edge.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing here is that the Jets, when they're running the football effectively, they're running it off to the right side where Ty Warren was and Adalius Thomas may have been, and Lavernius Cole is limping off the field with what looks like a leg injury.
And Mike Wright has been the guy that had to start tonight with Warren out. So Coles goes out of the ball game, at least for a play. Jones slipped through a hole and was able to pick up good yardage. Jarvis Green finally grabbed him, but a nice pickup on 1st down for Thomas Jones. Take a look at that play again where Coles got nicked up.
Well, I don't want to say what happens, but I know as a receiver that happens all the time. Running backs getting tackled as you're trying to make a block down the field and they fall in the back of your legs. I've had it happen to me 100 times, I bet.
2nd and 3 at the 43. Favre, Baker, 1st down, stood up by Merriweather at the 37-yard line. Vrabel also in on the hit.
It's a good read that time by Baker and by Brett Favre. It was a delayed blitz there. Gerard Mayo coming immediately. Brewski coming a little bit slower. Both saw it as both linebackers came. He just simply turned around and Brett made the play.
Lavernius Coles back in as he goes wide left, top of your screen. 1st and 10, Jets. Jones, the tailback. Thomas Jones again, shut down on the edge. Vrabel was there, and Seymour to make the tackle.
And don't forget Thomas Jones coming in as the leading rusher in the AFC, and this is a Jets offense that has been really running the football as of late. But one of the hard things is to try and reach the edge. You got to run away from Will Fork in the middle. And I don't know if there's ever been a better player on the edge, setting it out there, not allowing to get hooked than Mike Vrabel. And he was rock solid on that one.
Leon Washington in the backfield with Favre on a 2nd and 9. Patriots with a late blitz. Favre over the middle. Keller's got it. First down. At the 21-yard line.
That time the young rookie linebacker Gary Guyton inside was going to fake a blitz right there and tried to fall back underneath to pick up Keller. Well, Brett with his eyes moved Guyton just far enough to get Keller in behind him, and that's the sort of savvy quarterback play that has developed in the first half but hasn't worked so far here in the second half.
Leon Washington, the tailback behind Favre, and a 1st and 10. Drive started at the Jet 32. Washington slithers out of a tackle and takes it to about the 16 or 17-yard line. Vrabel on the tackle. 6:10 remaining in the ballgame. At stake, first place in the AFC East. The Jets and Patriots both come in at 6-3, 2-1 in the division.
But remember, the Patriots won the first one, so if they could win this one, they would essentially have a 2-game lead in this division, because the Jets would then have to win the division outright to win it.
Jets have led throughout. Washington on the draw. Hit at the 15, falls forward just inside the 15-yard line, short of the first down. Mayo there again.
Again out of the shotgun, again getting Leon Washington the football, and this thing looked like it was really going to pop. But that was a tremendous play by Jarvis Green coming across the formation to make that play.
So with the clock ticking here in the 4th, 3rd and 2 for the Jets. Washington goes in motion. Favre completes it for a first down to the 10-yard line. Chancey Stuckey took a big shot, but he's got a Jet first down.
Did you see Gerard Mayo make the hit there? Chancey Stuckey does a great job, doesn't fool around, gets right up the field, and Mayo almost took his head off. He was setting up trying to make a move on Sanders, and his lightning bolt hit him.
How about the block, though, by DeBrickashaw Ferguson to give Stuckey the lane to get the first down.
DeBrickashaw Ferguson can move as a tackle.
Jets can get a first down without a touchdown. Cotchery in motion. Jones to about the 7, hit by Woods.
Well, Nick Bengold doing the best he can up there with Vince Wilfork. That time ran him all the way across the formation. As Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator for the Pats, tries to find a solution here. Now we're back in that red zone again. Now you're back there with Brett Favre. They ran it 3 straight times earlier in the season. Do you trust your quarterback here? Are you going to put the ball in the veteran's hands and let him try and win this game, or do you play it conservatively for a field goal? I think they turned Brett loose.
11th play of the drive. 2nd and 6. Favre has time for the end zone. Good coverage that time by Sanders. In the back of the end zone on Cotchery.
I'll tell you, Brett was a little bit lucky on that one. Jericho Cotchery started inside and then acted like he was going to arrow back out of the route, and Brett threw it, and it's one of those that sometimes if Sanders had turned around, it might have fallen right into his lap. Leon Washington time right here.
12th play of the drive coming up. The Jets can get a first down without scoring a touchdown. 3rd and 6. Favre just throws it away. Got hit by Jarvis Green. There's a flag on the play. And if it's defensive holding, it's an automatic first down.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense, number 50. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Mike Vrabel called for the hold with 3:33 to go.
Oh my goodness, what a game changer. Mike Vrabel right there working against Dustin Keller. And I got to tell you, I did not see a whole lot of holding right there. If that's holding, I was assaulted in my career. I don't think that's a hold.
So it's 1st and goal now at the 3 for the Jets. Jones stood up at the 1. Wilfork grabbed him by the ankle. So now New England will call a timeout with 3:26 to go. That leaves them with 2 and the 2-minute warning. Jets squandered a lead, trying to regain it here in New England.
Mike Vrabel has been unhappy during that entire timeout, saying, I don't believe what was called on me. You could make a case for illegal contact, I think. I do not think there's a case there for holding.
That gave the Jets an automatic 1st down rather than having to attempt a field goal. And Vrabel pretty upset with the call. Jets bring in Wayne Hunter as a tackle eligible. 2nd and goal. Favre to throw. Just throws it away. Intended for Hunter. Are we going to get another hold as Jones tried to leak out of the backfield?
Yeah, and this is a good one. I couldn't see who it was on. Maybe Sanders.
Holding. Defense, number 36. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Automatic 1st down.
But Sanders really had no choice on that one. As the back was coming out of the backfield, he was clearly beaten, and he just grabbed hold, and now we have yet another fresh set of downs. So watch 36 Sanders. He knows he's in trouble. Grabs Thomas Jones, and that's a good call by the officials.
And you know what? It's a smart play by Sanders. He's beat. Don't give up the touchdown. Maybe you make some kind of play on the next play. 1st and goal. Jets work out of an eye. Jones the tailback. Thomas Jones did not break the plane.
Boy, these two linebackers were flying in there. Teddy Bruschi sort of took the brunt of this, and then Gerard Mayo came in behind and gave the brunt of it to Thomas Jones. We have seen some tremendous shots out of Gerard Mayo in this one, but give a little credit to Bruschi there. He took the 2 blockers out.
Yeah, he took on Tony Richardson, the fullback, and Alan Faneca, the guard, all in one fell swoop.
I'll go back to the first game. You remember the significant series. It was in the 2nd quarter, but the goal line stand by the Patriots really turned that football game around. They tried to run it 3 straight times into the teeth of that defense and got nothing but a field goal to show out of it. But this one's a little closer to the goal line. Not much left to stick this one in, but it's also bleeding the clock on the Patriots in a comeback effort the other way.
Yeah, New England has now used their 2nd timeout. They have 1 remaining in the 2-minute warning.
But plenty of time. 3:14, absolutely plenty of time. And it was the Patriots with a long drive at the end of the game last week to seal it. And now the Jets are doing the same to them.
Jones the tailback, Richardson the fullback. 2nd and goal. Thomas Jones is in for the touchdown. And with 3:10 to go, the Jets have the lead back. And the 3rd down holding call on Vrabel, costly.
And Alan Faneca that time cleared the way. Watch Alan Faneca come through here and make this block on Mayo this time. Got just enough of them. Come through, there's Bruschi, and then the undercut of Mayo allowed Thomas Jones just enough room to stick it in.
Jay Feely bangs home the extra point. And Thomas Jones gets his 9th rushing touchdown of the season. And with 3:10 remaining, the Jets back in front, 31-24. 14 plays, 67 yards on the drive. And they used 7:06 on the clock. Well, coming up after the game, it's the Home Depot post-game show. Stay tuned for highlights and analysis. Live Brett Favre news conference and exclusive interviews. Highlights, analysis right here on NFL Network.
Well, here you go, Patriots. You know, again, I'm going to flash back to the Super Bowl one more time. You know, the one thing that everybody forgets because of the Eli Manning drive at the end of the game is what the Patriots and Tom Brady and Randy Moss did in what looked like the game-winning drive, taking it down the field when they hadn't been very productive offensively and completing the touchdown pass. And, of course, Eli took it away going the other way. But now here's Matt Castle's moment. He's here in front of the home folks. They're playing for first place. He has made clear improvements. They've been moving the football. It's his time.
Patriots moved the ball up and down the field in the third quarter. A lot of miscues, but they were able to get the game tied. But the Jets on a classic grinding drive, and the penalty on Vrabel, which would have forced the Jets into a field goal situation, gave them new life. And Jones able to run it in from 1 yard out. Feely on the kickoff to Hobbs from his own 2. Hobbs across the 30 and down to the 33-yard line with 3:04 to go. Here comes Randy Moss, Matt Castle, and the Patriots. They have 1 timeout remaining and the 2-minute warning.
That was a good return. Matt Castle has had a good night tonight. His only issue again has been the deep ball. He's had Randy Moss with 2 opportunities deep. He's missed them both, but underneath he has been very good.
Moss to the bottom of your screen, matched up by Ty Law. Castle over the middle behind Dave Thomas and nearly intercepted.
White Lowry had one thrown right in his lap, and Chris Jenkins is giving somebody an earful, but that was game over right there if the rookie makes this catch. That ain't too hard. Wow.
Lowry looking for his first pick. 2nd and 10. Castle hit by Jenkins and sacked back at the 25-yard line.
Well, that time you get big Chris Jenkins working against Logan Mankins, and it is no contest. Look at him. That looks like the old Reggie White hump move right there. He just took big Logan Mankins and threw him out of the way and made a monstrous sack.
3rd and 17. Castle can't find Watson again. Well, they have missed on that play about 3 or 4 times, and now with 2:35 to go, New England faces a 4th down. They only have 1 timeout remaining. They used timeouts, Chris, when they thought they could get the Jets to kick a field goal. And now they'll send the punting unit out.
Obviously 1 timeout. You get the 2-minute warning. So if you can make a stop defensively, you will get the football back. And that sack was just the difference, because on 4th and 17, even Bill Belichick choosing not to go for it in this situation. But you also now have to beware Leon Washington standing back to catch this punt.
Leon Washington standing at midfield. And now the Jets will call a timeout with 2:35 to go.
And I think if I'm the Jets, I might forego this punt return and stick my defense back out there. Bill Belichick has pulled a few things out of his hat in the past. And for Eric Mangini, who's only beaten Bill Belichick 1 time, the idea that a ball can bounce around a little bit and I'm not going to return it, I'm okay with that.
2:35 left in the ball game. Jets had a 24-6 lead. Patriots came back to tie it. But a classic time-consuming drive, and a Thomas Jones 1-yard touchdown run has put the Jets back in front. Big sack by Jenkins. Hanson to punt. Washington's only standing at midfield. He's going to just let this go over his head and bound inside the 25-yard line.
Don't let it sit. There you go.
Patriots touch it down at the 23. Matthew Slater, the rookie out of UCLA, downed it after a 52-yard punt.
Well, Brett Favre certainly performed his magic when he's had to in this ball game. He has come up big, and it has been a lot of veteran throws here tonight. I can't tell you how many times I've seen him look off the coverage come back, be patient on slant routes, let him work around guys, manipulate him with his eyes. It has been a showcase tonight for Brett Favre, and he is 1 first down away from this one being over, and the Jets going home in first place.
Favre 21 of 27 for 202 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jones the tailback on a 1st and 10. Thomas Jones across the 25 to the 28-yard line. Sanders on the tackle. And New England will use their last timeout with 2:20 to go. Well, Chris, we started off last week in Cleveland with Thursday Night Football and a thriller. Great one here tonight. Next week, we're in Pittsburgh to see the Bengals and Steelers. Then Thanksgiving night, the Arizona Cardinals in control of the NFC West, traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones out there, and that Cardinals team has surprised a few folks this season, and the Eagles by that point might be playing for survival, you know, because the way those teams in the NFC East have been playing, and especially the way the Giants seem to have separated a little bit, when we once thought that maybe 3 teams out of the East would make it to the playoffs, not so sure anymore. Teams in the South playing pretty well right now.
Yeah, and you look to that New Orleans-Chicago game in December with NFC playoff ramifications, and then Indianapolis at Jacksonville, then that final Saturday night for us, Baltimore at Dallas, and what could be the last game at Texas Stadium. 2nd and 5 for the Jets. Jones the tailback, Smith in motion. Jones again gets a 1.5 yards. Merriweather on the tackle. Patriots are out of timeout, so the Jets will just take this down to the 2-minute warning.
And we're going to be down to 1 play when we come back after the 2-minute warning. Either the Jets are going to have to punt or it's going to be over with a 1st down.
With AFC East first place on the line.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Network is brought to you by IBM. When you're ready to stop talking innovation and start doing. Zantac. Heartburn? Attack it. Zantac.
Where everybody knows your name, everybody knows that first place in the AFC East is on the line. As we welcome you back to Gillette Stadium. Patriots out of timeouts. Wayne Hunter in as a tackle eligible. 3rd and 2 as the Jets try to close out New England. Jones short. Mayo again. Got his nose in there along with Mike Wright.
Boy, Gerard Mayo is hitting people and driving them backwards. They tried to run just the opposite play of what they did on the goal line. That time Brandon Moore going around the center to the other side. You'll see him pull and come out in front. And it was Gerard Mayo just jumping over the block and making the biggest play thus far defensively for these Patriots, because now they have a chance.
Jets would probably let the clock run down to 1 and use a timeout. You don't want to give up 5 yards. And they do that. They take the timeout. We're going to take a look at the AFC East. First place on the line. Both of these teams come into the game with a 2-1 record in the division. Right now, because of New England's win over the Jets, they have the lead in the division. Obviously, a Jet win puts them ahead as you look at the AFC playoff picture.
Yeah, I would say there's a couple of teams you want to watch out for. That being one right there. And how about these two over here? Indy, the last couple of weeks, keeping themselves alive with a big win over New England and then knocking off Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. That is another championship team that is going down hard. They're right back in the mix now.
Bill Belichick on the phone with the coaches upstairs. And Hodges wants to just get this snap and get it out. Wes Welker back deep. Welker from his own 28 gets a key block, but then wrapped up by Abram Elam with 1:04 to go, and the Patriots out of timeouts, down 7.
Well, for Matt Castle, it's been a good night in many ways. A lot of yards. Good night running the football. Good night throwing underneath. And he just simply has not been able to get it done on the deep ball, but he has another chance.
62 yards rushing, the most by a Patriots quarterback since Steve Rogan in 1978. 62 for Castle. The Patriots need 7 to tie. They have 104 to work with. Castle to the middle, picks up 9 on the pass play to Watson.
And the Jets in a clear prevent defense with 4 across on the back, 4 deep safeties. The underneath throw should be there.
Castle again, Watson again, has the first down. 42 seconds to go. Patriots out of timeouts. Castle gets his team set and clocks it with 36 seconds remaining.
Randy Moss has seen double coverage all night long, and it's no different right now. He is getting it yet again. But at some point, do you take a chance on the big fella being able to out-jump somebody down the field?
2nd and 10 underneath to Welker. Welker to the 25, tripped up by Barton. Castle gets his team to the line, gets everybody set, spikes it with 23 seconds remaining.
You may have time for one more shot in the middle of the field if you choose. But remember, once you get tackled, it takes about 10 seconds to get up and get the next snap, and that's going to help. Nope, it looks like it may be on the Patriots.
False start. Offense. Number 67. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's the center, Dan
Second
Copeland.
down. Second down.
So they'll spot it at the 30-yard line.
Looked like Dan Copeland may have given a little double clutch right there. So now you're getting a little tighter. Now you have to start thinking down the field. You got a lot of big receivers out there.
Castle, Welker gets a block. Welker down to the 16-yard line. Patriots have to clock it. 10 seconds to go. Castle spikes it with 8.
Still have time for 2 shots here if you throw something relatively quickly. You don't want to take a lot of time on this first throw. Get the ball out of your hand, some kind of a 4 vertical, something to get something in the seam. Randy Moss is really getting jammed by Hank Poteet. He's not getting off the ball and has not been a factor in this drive yet.
And now the Jets and Eric Mangini want a timeout, facing a 4th and 1. With 8 seconds remaining.
Well, you really still have no choice, do you? You can't complete a ball in the field of play, and if you try and throw it in the end zone, it's incomplete. It's over. So you get basically 1 shot, I think, no matter how you look at it here.
Are you amazed at how successful teams are, and especially the Jets tonight have been able to just stonewall Randy Moss at the line of scrimmage?
You know, his effort is occasionally good, sometimes not so good.
They need him to make a play now with 8 seconds to go in a 4th and 1.
Ty Law now is going to back off Randy Moss and give him a free release. I don't know about that one.
Castle avoids the sack. Castle to the end zone in traffic. And it's caught on the sideline for a touchdown. Randy Moss with 1 second to go.
I cannot believe they changed their strategies. They were simply pounding Randy Moss off the ball. He wasn't even making much of an effort to get up down the field. And then in the most significant moment of the game, they back off and give Randy Moss space down the field. Then he gets rebound position here against Ty Law. Drags the feet.
It's a good catch.
Touchdown.
Because his right foot, it looked like it was on the ground as he made contact with the ball. This is a booth review.
It's close. Did that right foot come off the ground?
No, it's down right there. In fact, Law fell You know what, Chris? It looks like Law fell on the right foot and forced it down. Right there. One more look at it again. Right foot's on the ground. Comes up.
Oh, that is close.
Remember now, the ruling on the field is a touchdown. There needs to be conclusive evidence to overturn the call on the field. The call was a touchdown.
You know, one of the interesting things about these field turf fields is if you're really dragging a toe, you see those little pellets flying, and that one is close.
Again,
I don't think they're going to change it because the fact that it was ruled a touchdown on the field, but I'm not positive that right foot was on the ground.
You know, you're looking at it in 2 dimension. You know, right there, is it on the ground?
And while that foot may have been jammed back down at some point, it wasn't to where I could see it, but the decisive factor is probably going to be that they ruled it a touchdown on the field. And I don't think there's enough there where you could overturn that one, although I've been stunned a few times in the past. Boy, there it was. Here you've got Randy Moss bottled up the whole game, and then you've changed your strategy on the last play of the game. I can't believe it.
All right, one more look at it. Ball in his hands. Right foot appears to be on the ground right there, Chris.
All right.
He has possession. The ball does not move. He has control the entire time. Here's Gene Steratore with a game-deciding call.
I think it's a touchdown.
After review, the receiver maintained possession of the ball with both feet down. The ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown.
You know, that was the other part of the rule that we didn't cover, that he did have to maintain possession all the way to the ground. And he certainly did that. And what a drive. What a Matt Castle moment. We've been discussing this whole thing. What we haven't covered is what Matt Castle just did to Eric Mangini and the New York Jets.
Well, they've been fighting back all night, but now they've got to make the extra point. Hansen to hold. Gostkowski set. And with 1 second to go, we are tied at 31.
What a game.
8 plays, 62 yards, 1:03 off the clock. Randy Moss, 16-yard touchdown catch.
Well, after playing bump and jamming Randy Moss all night, here we are on the conclusive play. Ty Law backs off. Watch Randy Moss just simply get the rebound position, make the catch, sensational throw. Great catch by Randy Moss. Unbelievable. You change strategy at that point, though.
Well, Matt Castle with 400 yards passing, 30 of 51 for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tom Brady's had 1 in an overtime game against Kansas City back in 2002. Brett Favre's like, come on, I drove the team. I used 7:06 of the clock. Got to go back to work. What a game. You know, I thought when they rolled off Moss that they were going to just get up, throw it to him, get him out of bounds, and get the first down. All right, Leon Washington has a 92-yard kickoff return in this game. I'm guessing Gostkowski's not going to let him touch the ball.
I would say you're right with 1 second on the clock.
Some first guess, huh? The Jets fall on it. Jason Trusnick will fall on it, and we're going to get overtime.
And look how deflated Brett Favre and the New York Jets look. All they have to do is not go into that prevent defense. They went 4 deep across the board and just basically let the Patriots walk their way down the field and had that final play, and they converted it. No pressure, no blitzing, soft coverage, prevent defense. And once again, prevent defense does what? Prevents you from winning.
Our first overtime game on Thursday Night Football. You know, we caught up with Brett on the field before the game. We talked about, you know, not being able to beat the Patriots, but there's new players here. But, you know, you wonder if guys are saying, oh, my God, Here we go again with these guys. All right, coin toss with Gene Steratore, our referee. A little overtime football coming up on Thursday Night Football with first place on the line in the division.
Call his tails. It is a tail. Which way would you like to kick? Stay where you are. The Jets have won the toss. Elect to receive.
Well, Kerry Rhodes called tails. Jets get the ball. Overtime with first place in the AFC East on the line. Jets and Patriots headed to overtime with first place in the AFC East on the line. Bob Papa, Chris Collinsworth back in Foxborough. Eric Mangini's squad 2-2 since he's been head coach. They lost earlier this year in Oakland. Bill Belichick won the last 7 overtime games, tying the longest streak in NFL history. If you remember, in Oakland earlier this year, Sebastian Janikowski kicked a 57-yard field goal to give the Raiders a 16-13 win over the Jets. Deep kick by Gostkowski, and Washington has to take a knee. Each team is given 2 timeouts for overtime.
Well, now Brett Favre has to wake his team up. I mean, they had to be thinking, we're in the locker room, this is over, right? All they needed was 1 first down. Gerard Mayo makes a huge hit on 3rd and 2, gives his offense a chance. Matt Castle converts. Matt Castle now 30 of 51, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Can he come back? Can he win a game? He sure can.
Sudden death. The first place in the division on the line. Jones in a 1-back set. Favre under pressure, sacked by Woods. First sack of the season for Pierre Woods. Loss of 5.
It was interesting talking to Dean Pease this week. I asked him, what is it that Pierre Woods does best? He says he rushes the passer. He said, we haven't given him many opportunities this year. Maybe Brett wasn't expecting it because of that. Comes completely unblocked. A blown protection to start this drive for the Jets.
Moles to the top of the screen. Patry to the bottom of the screen. Stuckey in the slot right. 2nd and 15 for Favre. Under pressure again. Batted away from Washington by Gary Guyton, the rookie out of Georgia Tech, who made this squad as a free agent.
Boy, the rookie linebackers have just come up huge tonight. Gerard Mayo earlier in the game, and now Gary Guyton in man coverage on perhaps one of the most difficult guys in the National Football League to cover one-on-one Leon Washington with perfect coverage.
Fans here at Gillette Stadium on their feet. 3rd and 15 for the Jets. First possession of overtime. Favre, wide open, Keller. And he's got the first down. Merriweather tackled him, but a big night for the rookie, Dustin Keller, a gain of 16.
It just simply had to be a blown coverage there. There was nobody even in the vicinity. I don't know if somebody rushed who shouldn't have rushed, who should have dropped back underneath that throw, but there was nobody in the area code for Keller.
Merriweather had a chance to stop him just short of the sticks and did not. Jones picks up about 4. Bruschi grabbed him by the ankle.
You just cannot get over that play. First, there's a blown protection on the part of the Jets to give up a sack, and then a blown coverage on the part of the Patriots that allowed the Jets to convert. If they don't convert that right there, they're going to have to punt the football, and it's going to be a very short field for a field goal.
2nd and 6 for New York. Jones the tailback. Favre back. has Keller again. Keller dumped at the 47-yard line. Delta O'Neal on the tackle. 12 yards for Keller.
Pierre Woods that time in coverage got enamored with Leon Washington underneath. And when he did that, he started to suck up for Leon Washington, and he leaves Keller in behind him. You got to take your zone drops. If they dump it to Leon Washington, so be it. But you have to do your job first.
So the Jets wiggled out of a 3rd and 15, and now they're driving the football. 1st and 10. Jones, no cutback lane, gets a yard. Seymour then gobbles him up. Jay Feely warming up. Earlier this year, he tied a career long with a 55-yard field goal. He was signed on September the 10th after Mike Nugent was injured in the opener in Miami.
Yeah, talking to Mike Westhoff on the field before the game, he said, they asked him about Mike Nugent. He said, no way I takes out Jay Feely after the job he did last week. You get to play again if you do that.
2nd and 9. Favre has a screen for Jones. He has some blockers. Dragged down at the New England 44, short of the 1st down marker. Pierre Woods and Bruschi on the tackle.
Yeah, nice job over there by DeBrickashaw. Ferguson got the hook on Richard Seymour. Alan Faneca came out from the guard position there and got a big kick out down the field. Perfectly executed by the speed side of that offensive line with DeBrickashaw, Ferguson, and Alan Faneca over there on the left.
3rd and 1 for the Jets. This drive started at their own 20 here in overtime. Washington to the left of Favre. Completes it to the 40 and a 1st down. Keller again. Mayo on the coverage.
Boy, this Dustin Keller has just been coming up huge the last couple of weeks. Monster game last week. Brett Favre made the statement, boy, I wish I'd have met you a lot earlier in my career. And now you understand why. Here in the clutch of this overtime, it has been Dustin Keller on the key plays.
4.5 minutes into overtime. 1st and 10 at the New England 40. Jones. Drop, no gain. Mike Wright has played a very good ball game in for Ty Warren, who's inactive tonight.
Yeah, very solid. And to get Thomas Jones in the backfield, he has the lowest percentage of any back in the NFL this year of not gaining yardage, of actually losing yardage on a play, and that time he was trapped. Probably need about 7 yards to feel pretty good about this one.
Washington in to the right of Favre, who took the snap. Favre down the middle. Favre to Lavernius Coles. 1st down, Jets at the 24-yard line. Gain of 16.
Well, that time, because of the success that Dustin Keller has been having, the underneath linebacker that time, I think it was Gerard Mayo, jumped on Keller on the underneath route, leaving Coles open down the field.
Quickly, the Jets to the line. Washington up the middle, trying to center it at the 20-yard line.
Well, Brett Favre, when he's had to do it tonight, has been magnificent. This has been a drive much like the last one that they took down the field. And for Eric Mangini, he's got to be thinking, how hard is it to beat the Patriots? You know, they just looked like from the first half on they were going to have this game secured. And now it's getting to be decision time out here. When do you kick the field goal?
In the 3rd and 15 pass to Keller, fighting for the extra yardage. The key play on this one. Jones again, just keeping it centered right now as he's knocked down at the 18. And I would think you want to kick it on 3rd down.
I would personally, because if something goes wrong with the snap, you can raise up, call fire, find a receiver down the field, throw the thing out of bounds and have another shot at it. I can't imagine you're going to get too much closer here. You always take the chance of a fumble as well. It's like they're at least in the think about it mode.
So 3rd and 4 at the 18. Jones again dives to the middle and knocked down at about the 16-yard line, and now the field goal unit would come out.
Well, here you go. Can't have a bigger kick than this one. First place on the line, but maybe even more than that for this Jets franchise to try and erase some of the ghosts of the past.
You know, 3 of Feely's 4 misses have come between the 30 and the 39-yard line. This will be a 34-yard kick. Remember, his first kick with the Jets was against New England, and he pushed one wide right. He's also missed from 36 and 37 of his 4 misses. The other miss came from 44 yards out.
Trying to jinx him or
No.
what, man? You just pointing out the facts here?
Pointing out the facts. Talked to Jay before the game. He's really enjoyed his time with the Jets. Of course, let go by Miami. He kicked last year for the Dolphins. That was 21 of 23 last year with Miami.
How do you describe, how do you put into words when a team has been beating you as consistently as this team has been beating the New York Jets? Super Bowl rings, and here's your chance to overcome a lot of those memories with one kick.
Officially 34 yards. Jay Feely to give the Jets first place in the division. Snap is good, and Feely knocks it through, and the Jets have won it in overtime, 34-31.
And now for the handshake.
Only the second time Eric Mangini has beaten Bill Belichick in his 3 years as head coach of the Jets. Well, the resiliency of the New York Jets, giving up the lead at the end of regulation on the Randy Moss touchdown catch, but Brett Favre converting a 3rd and 15 to Dustin Keller, pinned deep in their own territory. Keller fighting for the extra yardage kept that drive alive.
And all the money, all the free agents, all the trades have now paid off. Brett Favre and Damian Woody and Alan Faneca, all those guys up front, Chris Jenkins and Calvin Pace. It was just enough to come into New England and knock off the Patriots.
Feely knocked it inside the left upright. James Dirth on the snap. Reggie Hodges with the good hold. And Jay Feely with the game-winning field goal.
And for all the talk about Brett Favre and his mistakes and does he push the envelope too much, here you come in against a team like the Patriots. Yes, they've got plenty of injuries, but that mystique still exists until you can knock one down, and Brett Favre was nearly perfect tonight.
26 of 33 for Favre, 258 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Eric Mangini says that's why we brought you here.
Thank you very
Big
much,
fella.
big guy.
Let's send it down to Adam Schefter.
Thanks very much, Brett. This team had lost 4 straight to the New England Patriots, 10 of the last 11. What does this win mean to this franchise?
Well, it means a lot, but it also means we have more games to play. You know, it's hard to put into words. I know the struggles the Jets have had here. We understand how good the Patriots are, and we knew what was at stake and what was in front of us. And believe me, that was not easy. But we found a way to win it. I hope it does a lot for us. Time will tell, but I know right now it puts us in first place, and with a few days to enjoy it.
What happened on the 3rd and 15 pass to Dustin Keller?
Well, they played zone and just blew out of there. And I actually looked over and saw Coach Belichick telling them all to get back. No secret. And they actually pushed towards our slot guys. And Dustin did a good job of peeking. It was just an all-go route. And it was one of those hoping and prayers, and they just blew it wide open.
How deflated was your team when it went into overtime?
Very deflated. Probably as deflated as they were inflated. They fought their way back in it. Matt Castle played one heck of a football game. Randy Moss was Randy Moss.
By the way I looked for him, he told me to throw a pick after the coin toss. I wanted to tell him I didn't. But you had everything in that game. It was a great game. I'm glad to be on the winning side of it.
This is what you came back for?
This is what I came back for.
Congratulations. Brett Favre, the New York Jets win 34-31 in overtime.
Adam, he didn't throw a pick. Chris, he wasn't even close to throwing a pick. He played as clean a game as any Jet coach or fan could hope for.
Yeah, I really thought it was masterful. You know, when Brett is on, it is just exciting to watch. But I think we have to at least mention the play of Matt Castle as well. You know, Matt Castle time and time again was forced to come from behind. There were questions, could he do that? He certainly got it done, but Brett was just a little better.
Coming up next on NFL Network, it's the Home Depot postgame show. The final score in overtime, the Jets 34, the Patriots 31. Thanks for watching Thursday Night Football on NFL Network.